I don't think it's getting no better than this. Lighters up. Yep. Over here talking and shit. Microphone muted. But yep, got mine in the air too. No point on waiting on people that ain't showing up. So lighters up. Chill. Chill, what's been good with you? How you been doing out there? I've been on my chill shit. Cold season came back in, so it's fucking freezing out there. So unless it's something important to do, I ain't going out there. Walk my dogs, make a couple dollars, sit my ass right in this crib. It is cold as fuck. Today was like 50. That was a blessing. Right now it's like 40, maybe 37. You and me both, man. That's what I say. You know, I live in Massachusetts and all, but yeah, they ain't never They ain't never getting used to this cold. I be having on layers. Like, you never really value long johns until you move to an extremely cold place. Facts. Can't lie, that's why I like the cooler seasons too. Get to bring out the better clothes. Basic t-shirt and some jeans and them hoodies and shit. To make a whole outfit. Feel like it's later than it is. Feel like it's going on 10 o'clock. It's only 8:17. Guess that means it's been a long day. Yeah, it is. Like, that's when motherfuckers be their freshest during the coolest seasons. Summertime's real basic and skimpy. You got the least amount on. Man, every time they change the time up, my shit be off real bad. Like, I hate this shit. And I always look up the purpose of it, and I always forget the purpose of it. That's how unimportant it is. To me, but it's annoying as fuck because it throws my sleep pattern off by hours, not even by a single hour, by hours, if not a day. It's like you can only watch the sunrise so many times before that shit ain't beautiful no more. Then you're just angry because you realize you got a long ass day ahead of you. Shit, you and me both. I be trying. I be like, come on now. Don't watch this sun come up. Next thing I know, the sun come up. Like, I'll even avoid playing video games and shit. Like, I ain't trying to get myself amped up or nothing. Always a fucking failure. And then I get my most creative, and yeah, it all goes downhill. And then you try the infamous, let me just turn everything off and lay there. And the dumbest fucking thought that could possibly pop in your head just pops in. Like, why did your first grade teacher give you an F on a test when you know you should have got a C? Like, you'd be like, what the fuck is this even doing in there? If you ever want to test out how good your memory box is, though, meditate. You'll start pulling out things you didn't even know was stored in that motherfucker. Like, man, a single drop of blood is like a ridiculous amount of terabyte space. Like, if they could convert it into hard drives, you'd only need one drop, and your computer would be set on space forever. So, think about how much shit you got stored inside your head if one single drop of blood stores that much data alone. And I don't know how they did the testing, but there is a test that was done where they was able to calculate it, and the shit was ridiculous. We'll be happy with a couple terabytes. I don't even know how many terabytes they said that thing had. It was just a ridiculous number. Who am I? That's why I gotta do more streams standing up, moving around more. Be sitting here getting all relaxed and shit. Like, what the fuck do I talk about now? I ain't really been paying attention to much, so I ain't got much to work with. The government shutdown shit was only entertaining till they opened that bitch back up. Now I give no fucks about it. I don't know why I like watching them bicker. It just be so fucking stupid. It's like one side makes sense, the other side just is making shit up as they go along, and people are rocking with it, and it's just like, how? I think that's what got me stuck to it. Crazy shit is, it's always been part of my life ever since I was a youngin'. Used to watch the news on the TV, then cartoons, then the news again, and go to school. Then it went from straight to just news. Now I just watch politics. Like, I sat here watching them vote if they was gonna open the government like it was a pay-per-view event. Who the fuck does that? Shit, wasn't else cracking. Wasn't anything else cracking, so I was like, yeah, let me have fun my own way. Ugh, I'm high. Must say, this piece of poncho is way better than expected. Yeah, that was weird how that whole shit worked out, but guess they figured, hey, we're just gonna let one take care of itself and the other we're just gonna let people complain about. That whole ICE situation's crazy. I understand it. I think it's scary for them people, but One of the reasons why I can't feel much sympathy for it is if you ever been involved in a police raid, they give no fucks about what the fuck's going on. They got a job to do, so they're not going through anything that anybody who's been through a raid ain't going through. What about the kids? Hey, what about the kids? They just happen to be in a fucked up situation. It comes with the territory. If you was on the run for whatever, and they found out you was in Susan's house, are they gonna worry about Susan's kids? Or are they gonna surround that house and bust that door in, depending on how violent your crime was? Shit, they might even do you one better and throw a flashbang in that bitch if you're a dangerous criminal. So that's how I see it. Welcome to the American dream. It comes with nightmares that you can't just shake off, and those moments like that are them nightmares. Now you're gonna know what it's like to look in the rear view mirror every time you're driving. Yep. People got mad about all them tax shits and all that. Man, if you seen where all the tax dollars is really going, that SNAP benefit shit was just a drop in the bucket. Like, it was the smallest drop in the bucket, I swear. Man, there was money going around the world to fund LGBT shit in countries that don't even allow that shit by death. But they were sending money for whatever the fuck reason. Fucking millions for Sesame Street in Iraq or one of the Middle Eastern countries. It was just ridiculous money being spent for no fucking reason. Then the kicker was the Haitian prostitute males. Like, there's a video where John Kennedy, he's up there talking about it. Like, he has some big ass cards behind him and everything. I showed it on here before. But yeah, when they went through to see where all that excessive spending was going that didn't need to be spent, yeah, they found all kinds of dirty secrets. Shout out to Elon Musk's team on that Doge team. Excuse me a sec, I need something to drink. very high. Sometimes pieces are just perfectly waiting for you. Roll it if you got it. Still here, just rolling up. I be super focused. All right, lighters up, lighters up. See if anybody else shows up. Need to make some more music and stuff, bullshit. What's going on in the wonderful world of TikTok?
Do y'all remember the audio of the guy that was screaming in North Carolina, "There's something in the bed of my truck, it's not human, it's not human"? Well, someone interviewed him, and I found the interview. I'm going to play some clips for you guys here.
The 911 call a couple of months ago, actually. And it's been a little bit of a challenge to get the sheriff's schedule, my schedule, and finally now we've got your schedule all worked out so that we can talk to you and get you to tell your story. Obviously, we're not going to share your name or your face. Totally understand that. But after talking with you, clearly your voice is the voice that's on that 911 call. So, if you would, just start wherever you want to. We want to hear the whole story. Take as much time as you need.
I guess I'll start from the beginning of the trip. I was coming up from Florida to visit my family. At the time, I was going to a trade school down there, and when I was driving up here to where the incident occurred by the battlefield, it was already easily like well into the morning. I wasn't looking at my phone. I just know it was pitch black outside, and it was pitch black. I couldn't see the moon, stars, nothing, just barely the road through my headlights. And I had my window down because the AC wasn't working the best. And as I was coming around, there's a massive right curve right there before you cross the Black River, and then after that you have the battlefield. So on that massive black curve, as I'm coming around, I had just started the curve, and I was about a third of the way through it, and I look over into the ditch on my right because I caught a quick glimpse of something, and as I take a further look, it looks like there's I'd say probably a 30-something-year-old man standing in that ditch wearing what looks like an old Civil War uniform, just covered head to toe in blood. And the uniform was torn as well. That threw me off because I didn't expect to see it at like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm calling 911 after I see him to report that, because for all I know, it could have just been a normal guy that was injured and needed emergency help. It looked like what had happened is he hit his head on something, and the blood was just pooling down over his face and torso. And well, as I was calling, everything seemed perfectly normal. Just quick phone call to 911, let them know, hey, there's a guy out here, and try to find somewhere safe to park so that way I can take them to him. Well, as you know from the 911 call, right as soon as I reported that, I already had my window up at that point. All of a sudden, I heard a massive bang on my truck, and my truck bounced down from the rear, like I was pulling a heavy trailer and I hit a pothole. And so I'm sitting there going, what the hell was that? Which I'm pretty sure you heard me yell, what the hell? I turned on my bed light, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and all I saw was this white, like snow white face right up against my rear windshield. Like it was looking into my truck trying to see what it could see. It had shallow sunken eyes. It had no nose. Just think if you took skin and put it on a human skull and stretched it thin. Couldn't see any ears, just bad. And immediately I just started screaming. I didn't realize until afterwards that I had said that's not human on the call, because it was just the first thing I started screaming because I was terrified. I didn't have my firearm with me, nothing. All I had was a wood splitting axe. So that's all I had. So, and my truck is loud as is, and it picks up speed fairly easily. Well, my truck at the time, it had a gas-powered 6-liter V8 Vortec on it, and it was a proper dual exhaust, hence why I had the window up, because that truck is nice and loud.
Okay.
Well, I'm doing in between like 55, 60 miles an hour when this happens, and I just stomped on the gas for a second. When I looked at the speedometer before I slammed on my brakes, I was doing maybe 80. And I slammed on those brakes with all my might, and I went from like 80 miles an hour down to like 35 in just like a couple of seconds. And all I see is just a super scrawny long body just fly over my truck in a ball rolling. And as I then swerve to the left and get
Stay
back
your
in the
ass
travel
out of them
lane,
backwoods.
I floor it. And as I'm swerving to the left, I see it stand up, and it is easily taller than that truck.
No way.
I'm 5'10". The truck is about 2 inches taller than I am. And this thing was easily like maybe 7 feet.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I can hear it in his voice that he's telling the truth. You can tell he's still shaken up over this incident. I have tried to find pictures of his truck because he goes on to say that there are scratch marks in the hood of his truck. I have been unable to locate those. So if I get any more information, I will add that on later. And if you have not heard the audio, just click on that pinned comment from earlier and it'll take you to the original video with the audio. What do you all think this could have been? Leave it in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, just follow along. Do y'all remember the audio of the guy that... Do y'all remember the audio of the guy that was screaming in North Carolina, "There's something in the bed of my..."
That's not human! That's not human! Sir, are you okay, sir? There's something in the bed of my truck!
He's literally shouting, "It's not human, it's not human." This 911 call comes from a man who was driving through North Carolina. The original call was because he saw a guy
Okay,
walking
stay out
down
of the
road
woods
with
of
blood
North
dripping down
Carolina.
his face.
Yeah.
But y'all, as he's on the phone with the 911 operator, he feels something really heavy jump in the back of his truck. That's when he turns the bed lights on and starts shouting, "It's not human, it's not human." He says whatever this thing is pounding on the top of his truck, so he slams on the brakes, and the force of that makes it flip over the front hood of his truck. Y'all, the way he describes this thing to police officers, he says that it is massive, like 7 feet tall. He said it looks like a skeleton with just skin stretched over it and then big black gaping holes for eyes. He speeds off away from this thing, and state troopers are able to meet him at a gas station where they look at his truck and see scratch marks all in the bed of the truck, dents in the top of the truck to corroborate his story. What's actually crazy about this is if you look down my page, because I tell these spooky story times, literally just a few days ago, a girl from Pikeville, Kentucky had reached out to me pretty much describing the same exact story. I actually pinned a comment
Stay out
from
of
that
Kentucky.
video that I made a few days ago. What is going on? What are these things? What do you think? Drop it down in the comments and let me know. But that 911 audio is absolutely chilling. And if you want more stories like this, then just follow along. Do y'all remember the audio?
Gallito, cuéntanos. ¿Qué te dicen el gallo? Por verga, pariente.
Hi, my name is Dania, and I fully 100% believe that my parents killed my brother. On November 13th
Well,
of
then.
2024, my 12-year-old brother Latif went into my parents' bedroom, took a they kept underneath the TV, not locked up whatsoever, and took his own life. Growing up, our home was never safe. Not only was my father extremely abusive, so was my mother. She was very mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive. She likes to isolate, and she's also very neglectful. After the world started to go back to normal after COVID, my mother did not let that happen with my siblings. She did keep them isolated. She would not let them leave. They cannot have friends, and they're not allowed to go to actual in-person school. This caused my 12-year-old brother, my 14-year-old sister, my 15-year-old brother to not be able to actually read or write properly. The morning that my brother passed away, he had expressed to my mother how he felt stupid that he couldn't read or write. And my mother just ignored him, as she always does. Whenever any of my siblings ever come to them about her problems, she simply just ignores. Even after my brother had passed away, nothing changed. My mother stayed the exact same. Actually, she even tended to isolate even more because of the loss of my brother. CPS was involved after my brother's passing away because he was a minor, and yet nothing was done. Amanda actually would message my mother before she was coming over, or would give her days notice in advance so that my mother could clean the house, because my mother's an extreme hoarder, to the point where their living room, you really couldn't walk. Obviously, CPS did nothing to help. They closed the case, nothing was wrong, mother's perfect, she's just a grieving mom. Fast forward a few months later, my mother actually started giving my 20-year-old sister alcohol every single day for 6 months, to the point where we had to go get her hospitalized for withdrawals. After she got out of the hospital, she started staying with me, as I live an alcohol-free life. There's no alcohol in my home. She'd be safe to recover here. My mother then kicked my 14-year-old sister out, and she moved in with my 19-year-old sister along with my 23 that share an apartment together. And then she kicked my 15-year-old brother out and made him live with my 30-year-old brother. She had dropped all their stuff off, including my kids' stuff, at my sister's apartment, and basically said, bye-bye, don't want to be in your guys' lives. I'm not disowning you, but I'm stepping out of your life, is the exact message that she sent me. My stepdad had then called my brother, maybe about a day or two later, and said how he was scared for my mother because my mother essentially had told him that she wanted him to kill my 2 youngest siblings, kill her, and then kill himself. Chad then expressed how they thought that they jumped the gun by kicking my siblings out and how they wanted them back home. My brother had expressed to my mom how that home makes him very sad and depressed, how she doesn't listen to his feelings and she doesn't care about his well-being whatsoever. And my mother had then said that she didn't know what he was talking about. He's never expressed these type of feelings before, and that my stepdad was on the way to come get him that night. My brother started expressing how that house just makes him depressed, how my mother's not good for his mental health. She got all mad, and my brother had called the cops because he was supposed to be getting power of attorney over him. My brother had started sharing the mental abuse that was happening with my mother with the cop, and my stepdad then said that he was getting put into a mental institute. My brother never said he was going to kill or harm himself if he went home. He was just speaking about my mother's mental abuse, and she locked him up to silence him. I made a call to CPS. Yes, I did. I don't care. I made a call and I reported all the abuse. Finally, I reported all the abuse that was happening because I was tired of being silent. I'm sorry if I get mad at this part. This part is infuriating. Dean and Amanda were the 2 social workers that went out there. Amanda being the exact same one that was there after Latif's passing. Dean was talking to my 14-year-old sister. Amanda was standing at the door, letting my mother listen into the conversation. My 14-year-old sister was trying to explain the abuse that she was enduring by my mother. Dean looked her right in the face and said, "Are you going to get your story straight?" Which was insinuating to this 14-year-old girl that was traumatized by everything she's ever experienced with CPS that she was a liar. Ever since we were little, my mother would always tell us that if we ever told anybody the abuse that we were enduring to CPS, that we would be put into foster care. And that at home wasn't as bad as a foster care would be. After this, my 14-year-old sister just did not know what to do. She wanted to go on a walk and my mother would not let her leave the house. She said that if she left the house, she was going to call the police and tell the police that she ran away. She simply just wanted to go on this walk. This 14-year-old child was trying to explain the abuse that she was enduring by our mother and was told she was a liar. So my mother told her that if she walked out that door, she was going to be calling the cops and report her as a runaway. Which, my sister does not care. She walked out that door without her shoes and started running. She then got in contact with me and told me that she ran away, and I went and picked her up. And no, I did not take her to my house. I took her to CPS because I thought, if anything, they would be able to help me. I also did call the police department, and I did inform them that I had my sister and that we were at CPS. The cop did meet me at the CPS office, but unfortunately, because I don't have her rights, her parents control what she does, she did have to go home. Because my sister had spoken out her truth to the CPS worker, my mother locked her in a mental institute as well. She's not allowed to have any contact with anybody but my mother. So is my 15-year-old brother. Can't talk to them whatsoever. He can strictly only talk to my mom. And CPS doesn't see anything wrong with this whatsoever. They don't see anything. It's just a grieving mother who wants to help her other children not commit suicide, when she is the reason why
They say
the
black
first one
people
did.
got problems. God
There are
damn.
still 5 kids remaining in that home. My 2 youngest siblings still share a bed with my mom and my stepdad. Yes, my mom and stepdad do sleep together in that bed, to the point where my little sister asked them to stop rocking the bed. CPS has done nothing about the allegations of my mom wanting to kill my 2 younger siblings, herself and her husband, that me and my brother both reported about. They've actually, in fact, told police that we were brainwashing the kids and making them say all these things, which we weren't whatsoever. We simply just told our siblings to just tell our mother how they feel, as any kid should be able to tell their parent. To kind of summarize this all up, I'm fighting for legal action being taken against Chad Pierce, because he should not have gone away with killing my brother. Not only did Chad Pierce supply the gun by just leaving it on the TV, which he's left it there for years, along with the ammo in the room, my mother essentially loaded it up for my brother. I firmly believe that my mother's mental abuse is what killed my brother. So please, if you're
I don't
listening
know
to the
where I
story,
thought
please
this
share
story
it.
was going,
Do
but
anything. There's gonna be a
it just
GoFundMe in my
gradually
bio.
got worse
If you wanna
even after death.
donate. Everything goes towards the legal fees of getting custody of my siblings and pursuing the wrongful death of my brother. Lateef Pierce deserves justice. We may not have been able to save him, but we can sure as hell save my remaining siblings.
Best of luck to you, young
Hi,
lady.
my name is Dania, and I fully 100% believe that my parents killed my brother.
Like that is a hell of an intro, like. Did you think it was gonna get worse than that? It was just like, oh wow, damn, that's fucked up. And then it was just like, bam, hold on, here's another hitter. Oh, hold on, no, it gets worse than that. Oh, look, they're hoarders too. Like, oh no, now they're locked in mental. Like, what the fuck, man? Wonder if she's ever been on a date before. And I know that's random. It's just like you got so much shit you got to focus on and worry about in life. Like, you don't even got time for that. You got way more important shit you got to be focused on.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12, way down the line. I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know.
Correct? What do you think?
I think no one made a bigger impact, and I know this personally from my grandfather announcing his death. John Lennon, imagine all the people.
My model of business is the Beatles.
Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, he was a huge Beatles fan. He named his company Apple, the same name the Beatles gave theirs.
Anyway, now
you never can be anything else.
We
but
are
the
Beatles. That's what we are. We're also Apple as well. See, they're like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Brown.
But we're dissatisfied because the current state didn't live up to their ideals. Without death, there would be very little progress.
All right, so you think you know Massachusetts? I'm about to change your mind. Forget the Freedom Trail. Forget Cape Cod for a second. Today I'm counting down the top 10 most underrated places you've got to check out in the Bay State. Number 10, Mount Greylock. It's the highest point in Massachusetts, but somehow, half the people I talk to have never even heard of it. The views from the top, absolutely unreal. Hike up, drive up, bike up. Just don't skip the summit tower. Number 9, the Eric Carle Museum of Picture Book Art in Amherst. Yeah, the guy who made the Very Hungry Caterpillar. This place is pure nostalgia, but it's also super creative and fun for any age. Number 8, Halibut Point State Park in Rockport. This isn't your average park. Wild granite quarries, tide pools, ocean views like postcards. Number 7, Shelburne Falls. 2 words, Bridge of Flowers. Imagine a whole bridge just covered in blooms from spring to fall. Glacial potholes in the river are a natural wonder you've got to see up close. Number 6, the Quabbin Reservoir. It's massive, peaceful, and honestly, a little mysterious. Secret trails, hidden islands, a ghost town or two under the water. Number 5, the Mohawk Trail. One of the oldest scenic routes in the country, winding through forests, little towns, mountain overlooks. Fall is the best time, but honestly, it's gorgeous year-round. Number 4, the New Bedford Whaling Museum. Sounds random, but it's fascinating. Full-size whale skeletons, maritime history exhibits, how this little city changed the world. Number 3, Wachusett Mountain. Not just for skiers. In the summer and fall, it's perfect for hiking. Summit views are wild. The annual Apple Fest is a hidden local gem. Number 2, the Crane Estate in Ipswich. This place looks straight out of a movie. Grand mansion, rolling lawns, a beach that's never too crowded, perfect for a picnic or pretending you're royalty for a day. And finally, number 1, the dunes of Provincetown. Most people hit the town for shops and food, but the sand dunes are next level. Take a guided dune tour, or just wander and feel like you've landed on another planet. So, there you have it. 10 underrated spots in Massachusetts that deserve way more love. Next time you're planning a trip, skip the crowds and check out one of these hidden gems.
7 surprising food you didn't know about Rhode Island State. Number 1, coffee milk. This signature Rhode Island beverage combines milk with a sweet concentrated coffee syrup to create a drink that is both comforting and nostalgic. Its taste is smooth yet bold, a perfect middle ground between a milkshake and a cup of iced coffee. Born from the state's diner culture in the early 20th century, coffee milk remains a proud local invention, enjoyed in both households and old-fashioned soda shops. Number 2, Stuffies, stuffed quahogs. A beloved seafood tradition, Stuffies are large quahog clams filled with a savory mixture of chopped clam meat, breadcrumbs, onions, and bell peppers, baked until crisp and aromatic. They reflect Rhode Island's coastal roots, where the ocean has always been both a source of livelihood and inspiration for its cuisine. The flavor is hearty, briny, and deeply satisfying. Number 3, hot wieners. Locally called New York System. Wieners, these small, flavorful hot dogs, are served in steamed 7.
I would watch for Barron, because here's the thing. There's also another book called Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. Ingersoll Lockwood wrote this book too in the late 1800s, depicting his character.
They picked those same names.
Yes.
Barron Trump.
Barron Trump. That is a book. Yes. Ingersoll Lockwood wrote both these books. Right?
In the 1800s.
Yes. I believe it was like 1893, 1896, something like that.
Then there has to be time travelers.
Well, here's the thing. In the book, Barron Trump is a time traveler. No bullshit. All this is in the book, you guys. And guess what? So he time travels, right? He has a mentor named Don. This is in the book. So, here's the theory. That Trump actually has some type of time travel technology only because Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, worked for the FBI.
Tesla.
Now, when Nikola Tesla died, they sent him in because he's a scientist, he's a physicist, engineer, smart guy. So they were like, hey, go
new to
in
people.
to Nikola Tesla's, room and decipher all his works and whatnot. Because, Nikola Tesla discovered free energy and a multitude of things, right? So
Actually,
Donald Trump's uncle goes in there and says, we didn't find anything. A bunch of BS. You don't think that Nikola Tesla, who had discovered free energy and manipulated electromagnetism, which had that you can, in theory, bend time, light, and space, this man's works was confiscated by him and he didn't find anything? I would watch for.
So let me give you my top list of things not to do after researching true crime cases. Number 1, be home before 11 p.m. Be home before midnight. Most of the cases after midnight, especially between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., people are killed or disappeared and are never seen again. So be home. The second thing is alcohol. Alcohol or drug use is at the center of a lot of disappearances, a lot of people getting killed. When you have alcohol, you're drunk, you let your guard down and people can see you as a victim because you're jolly, you're cheerful, you throw caution to the wind, and that's a bad thing because there's a lot of people out here who are looking for victims. They go to places in town to where people will be in that state so they can take advantage of them. Number 3, do not be isolated. This always happens. When we watch horror movies, there's a trope that they use every time. Somebody in the group says, hey, let's split up. And everybody in the theater have a unanimous groan. You never split up. But in real life, what do? When it's late, we're at the bar, we're at the club, we've been drinking, we split up. One person will, hey, I'm going to go over here. Hey, I'm going to go smoke. Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Hey, my house is only 5 blocks away. I'm going to walk home. Hey, I'm going to get an Uber. When people are isolated, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. When people are isolated, bad things happen. So when you combine being out past midnight, drinking, and you have a moment of isolation, terrible. That is the deadly trifecta, quite honestly, when people disappear or when they die. There's some other things going on, too, that you have to be wary of. One, be wary around bodies of water, rivers, lakes, ponds. And I know a lot of bars and stuff are central around these things, but when people disappear and they are found, most often they're found within a body of water or a river, stuff like that. So be careful with that. I don't know what it is so alluring about water, but a lot of people are found dead in the water after they disappear. I know fall's here, winter's coming. This is another thing that I see is consistent. A lot of times this happens between the fall and the spring. When it's colder outside, people tend to disappear. I don't know why. That's just where the stats are. When you study it, a lot of people between fall and spring, it's cold outside, they're out after midnight, they're drinking, out with friends, a group. A lot of times it's a celebration. It's the last day of the semester. It's graduation. It's a birthday. Now, those could just be, it's not like, well, don't celebrate anything, but just know when people are out, you're putting yourself in this position of, we're in this area of town where there's clubs, bars, restaurants, whatever, where you're drinking. A lot of other people do the same thing. A lot of people go to these areas to see if they can take advantage of people who are in those states. Alcohol's there, cold outside. I don't know why more people would disappear when it's cold. But yeah, it's just, you have to be careful. If you could take just one thing away, I would take away alcohol use. Take away alcohol use will help you a lot in these situations. Another thing that happens, their phone always freaking dies. Their phone is dead, the battery runs out, nobody can get in contact with them. So, but yeah, so those are some of the similarities that I see in these cold cases when people disappear, or they disappeared and if they're found deceased. So let me give you my top list of.
But we have a surviving copy of the whole scroll of Isaiah that carbon dates to 150 to 300 years before Jesus. So this is a copy of Isaiah's original written in 780 BC, but we have it in a museum.
Yeah.
It tours the United States. You can go read it online, exactly what it says. And here's what it says. Isaiah 9, that to Galilee a light has come, for a child is born, a son is given, and he will be called Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So this is Judaism. So you don't call any human God. There's only one God, and he's the eternal Yahweh, the I am, the eternal self-existent one. And yet here in Judaism in about 780 BC, and even before that with Moses, is this foretelling of this time that God is going to enter into humanity and reveal himself in the form of a son, a child, and come to Galilee. Okay, so that now of the whole world, this is a very specific place, right? Specific identification of a human. He's going to come from the lineage of David. In Isaiah 53, it says, and actually in 52, it paints a picture. It says that he was they're talking about the suffering servant. That's what he's called. And see, that's what we don't realize, is Jesus is going to come and rule, but first he had to come and suffer, and that was foretold. And it said he will be so marred and disfigured like no human before him. He was barely recognizable, I think is the way it says. And then it says, to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Okay, so the idea is like, through Jesus, we're not seeing all of the infinite creator God who can't be contained in time and space. It's like his arm reaching into our reality. And it said he grew up before him. So he grew up before God, the eternal Father. He was despised and rejected by mankind. He was pierced for our transgressions.
This is before crucifixion was ever implemented.
Even known. This is before the Romans invented crucifixion.
And Psalm says his bones were out of joint, which is what happens to your shoulders when you're crucified.
Yeah, and it says why. So it says what he will do. He will, and it says he by his wounds we were healed, and for our iniquities he took on our punishment.
This content isn't for everyone. But if you want more Christian content in your feed, subscribe.
Step aside, because if you get in my way, there's going to be problems. Do you understand?
I didn't break any laws.
When President Obama took office in 2009, the country was in an economic freefall. Unemployment is now at 4.7%. 82 straight months of job growth. That is the longest streak ever in the history of our country. Under President Obama, the high school graduation rate in this country hit 83%. That's the highest it has ever been in the history of this country. Under President Obama, we have had the first drop in the federal prison population in decades. Under President Obama, after a concerted effort by his administration, homelessness among American veterans dropped by half. Under President Obama, 16 countries around the globe gave up every last ounce of their highly enriched uranium, taking away the risk that it could be stolen or misused to assemble the core of a nuclear weapon or to make a dirty bomb. President Obama in 2011 ordered the Navy SEALs into Pakistan on that mission that killed bin Laden. Under President Obama, banks can no longer use your money that you deposit in that bank to make risky bets for their own profits. When President Obama took office, the deficit was about 10% of our GDP. It is now about 3% of our Under President Obama, our country's dependence on foreign oil plummeted. President Obama overturned the ban on scientific research using stem cells. President Obama upped by billions of dollars the resources available for mental health care in the VA. And under this president, gay couples finally got all the same options as straight couples. Oh, and you can't be denied health insurance because of a pre-existing condition. And you can't be charged more for your health insurance because you're a woman. And your health insurance can't put a lifetime cap on what you're allowed to need because of your health care. And 20 million Americans got health insurance because of President Obama.
As I started to go back into the 1920s and then into the 1900s, I then got to the Rockefellers owning the educational system. So I started going, okay, well, our educational system's been owned since 1902 with the General Education Board. And for the last 120 years, I'm learning from the Rockefellers, who were the biggest oil owners in the world. And then I started researching into Eustace Mullins' work, which then led me down to JP Morgan and the Peabodys, owning the education system in 1885. And it's interesting because around that time, they actually debunked the ether, which is a very fun topic, after they got control of the schooling system, and they then erased the ether. So then I realised since 1885 they've just been teaching us all these lies, but what about before that? And this is when I started to look into the World Fairs, which is a great one for people to look into about our past. Because when you look at these buildings and these grand structures in the 1800s, all made from stone and granite, you then start to get a little bit confused on how people on horses and wagons could build these structures. And you see them stood next to them in pictures and how small they are compared to these structures, in comparison to these buildings, which are absolutely massive. As I started to go back into the 1920s and then into the 1900s,
For 2,000 years, two versions of Christianity have existed. The one written in the Bible and the one protected and passed down by secret societies. The biblical version that was forced upon the masses is a version that keeps you obedient. The version they never wanted you to read is the one that sets you free. So first, let's understand the official story of the Bible that was approved by the early Roman Church. This version of the Bible is essentially the story of how God made 6 covenants with humanity. Each covenant is basically a deal between God and mankind, and each one shapes how we understand the world today. The first covenant starts with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. God creates paradise. No pain, no hunger, no death. He gives Adam and Eve everything they could ever want. But there's one rule. Do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But of course, as the story goes, they break that rule. And in that single act of disobedience, humanity is cast out of paradise, where they must now work and suffer until they eventually die. This is where the idea of original sin begins. Original sin being the belief that humans are born tainted and separated from God. So that was the first covenant. Do not eat from the forbidden tree and you will live forever in paradise. Eat from the tree and you will live a life of suffering and will eventually die. The second covenant was with Noah. 10 generations passed since Adam and Eve, and humanity has basically fallen from grace. Humans have become violent, selfish, and corrupt. So God's plan is to throw the whole thing away and start over from scratch. So he floods the entire world, except for Noah and his family, of course. So after Noah survives the flood, God promises never to destroy humanity again. That's the second covenant. The third covenant is with Abraham. After the flood, Noah and his descendants begin to repopulate the earth. And over time, humanity basically returns to its old ways again. Violent, divided, and worshiping false gods. Among these people, located in what is now southern Iraq, lived a man named Abraham. One day, God speaks to Abraham and tells him to leave everything behind and travel to an unknown land. God promises Abraham that if he obeys, his descendants will become a powerful nation blessed above all others. And of course, this nation is Israel. And this third covenant is the reason they believe that they are God's chosen people. The fourth covenant was with Moses. Unfortunately, not long after living in the promised land, a famine strikes. No rain, no crops, no food. So everyone begins to starve. Meanwhile, Abraham's grandson Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brother and eventually ends up in Egypt. But through a series of events, Joseph actually rises to power and becomes a trusted advisor to the Pharaoh, basically Egypt's prime minister. So when the famine hits back in the promised land, Joseph invites his family to come live with him in Egypt. And at first, everything is great. But as time goes by, Joseph eventually dies and a new Pharaoh rises to power. And this Pharaoh doesn't remember Joseph, nor does he know why all these Israelites are in Egypt. And as the Israelites grow in number, the Pharaoh begins to fear them. He sees them as a threat that could potentially one day outnumber and overthrow the Egyptians. So he enslaves them, and they remain slaves for 400 years until God sends Moses to come and free them, which he does. We've all heard the story of Moses. He parts the Red Sea and they travel to the foot of Mount Sinai. And this is where Moses climbs Mount Sinai, where God speaks to him directly. And God gives him the fourth covenant called the Mosaic covenant. God tells Moses that if the Israelites will obey him and his covenant, then you will be my treasured possession among all people, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. In other words, God was saying, I'll take care of you and make you my chosen people, but you must be obedient to my rules, which were all outlined in the Ten Commandments. That was the fourth covenant. The fifth covenant was with David. After Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt, they finally reached the promised land that God had promised Abraham. But as the story goes, the Israelites are unable to keep their end of the covenant once again. They disobey the Ten Commandments, they worship false gods, and they demand a human king to rule over them like other nations. So at first, God allows a man named Saul to be the king. But Saul doesn't obey God. So God chooses a new king, David. We've all heard the story of David and Goliath. Well, David, that humble shepherd boy, becomes the greatest king in Israel's history. And God makes his fifth covenant with David. God promises David that his descendants will rule Israel forever, and that from his bloodline will come the ultimate king who will establish an everlasting kingdom. This is called the Davidic covenant. It's God's promise that through David's bloodline, Israel will endure forever as God's chosen people. And this is where Judaism stops. Judaism only recognizes the first 5 covenants, but Christians recognize all of the covenants, especially the sixth one, because the sixth covenant is a covenant with Jesus. By the time Jesus arrives, the Romans have taken over the promised land and the Israelites are now living under Roman occupation, as they wait for the day that their Messiah would return to restore the throne and to free God's people once again. And you guessed it, that Messiah was Jesus, born in Bethlehem and a direct descendant of David's bloodline. But Jesus wasn't a warrior king like David. Jesus preached love, forgiveness, and the idea that the kingdom is not of this world. And through his crucifixion, God forms the sixth covenant called the New Covenant. The sixth covenant was God's final promise that anyone, no matter who they are or where they came from, can be united with him through faith in Christ. And this is essentially the story of the Bible that was approved by the Roman Church. But there's another version called the Apocryphal version. These are the texts that were censored by the Roman Church. 2 of the most important are the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas. Now, the Book of Enoch tells a story that basically disrupts the entire approved story that I just told you. The Book of Enoch says that before the flood, a group of angels called the Watchers came to earth. Their job was to guide and protect humanity. But when they saw how beautiful human women were, they couldn't resist themselves and they had sex with them. And this resulted in part angel, part human children, known as the Nephilim. The Nephilim were powerful and intelligent, but they were corrupt. They enslaved mankind and ruled the world like gods. This is what the secret societies teach. When God flooded the earth, he wasn't just punishing humans, he was trying to wipe out the Nephilim. But I guess God didn't know that you can't destroy divine energy. The spirit of the Nephilim survived the floods, becoming what we now call demons. And according to secret teachings, the bloodlines of the Nephilim, these demons still exist. And many of them are among the world's richest and most powerful families. Then there's the Gospel of Thomas, which is a list of 114 quotes that Jesus supposedly said. Things like, the kingdom of God is inside of you and all around you. Salvation doesn't come from a church or a priest, but from recognizing the divine light within yourself. The Gospel of Thomas doesn't teach people to worship God. It teaches them to remember that God is already within them. And this is why the Gospel of Thomas was banned by the church and considered heresy. Because if every person could find God within, then the entire structure of religious authority would be cooked. But that's not where it ends. The Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas leads to a belief system known as Gnosticism, which basically means inner knowledge. And again, this is the information that has been protected and passed down through centuries by secret societies like the Knights Templar and the Freemasons, just to name a few. But it goes back much further than them. What they say is that the world we live in isn't God's true creation. It's a trap. Now stay with me because this story gets wild. In the beginning, there was the monad, the one pure consciousness, the true God. And from the monad came divine beings called eons. Eons were just extensions of the one pure consciousness, extensions of the monad. kind of like the way that waves are an extension of the sea. One of the eons was referred to as Sophia, which means wisdom. Out of curiosity, Sophia wanted to create life on her own, separate from the monad. So she did. But because the balance of divine energy was broken by going off on her own, her creation was flawed. She unintentionally creating a being called the demiurge. The demiurge had immense creative power, but it had no understanding of where it came from. It was not aware that it came from the monad, from the one true God. It believed that it was God. It knew no better. So the demiurge created the material universe that we live in today. It essentially describes Earth as a prison where divine souls like you and I are trapped inside of human bodies. And that's why, according to Gnostic belief, the God of the Old Testament behaves like a jealous, psychopathic tyrant who destroys entire nations when they displease him, because he's not the real God. He's actually the demiurge. And according to this story, Jesus wasn't sent by the demiurge. Jesus was sent by Monad, the one true God. And he was sent to remind humanity of the truth. And that truth is that the world that we live in is an illusion, and that God lives inside of every one of us. That's why Jesus said the kingdom is within you. And according to this story, Jesus didn't die for our sins. They killed him to silence his message. Because if people ever realized that the direct path to God lived inside of them and they didn't need any intermediaries, if everyone understood that they were divine, the whole empire built on power and fear would collapse overnight. The Gnostic version of Christianity doesn't tell you to bow down. It tells you to wake up. That was the message of Jesus that they didn't want you to hear. It was a message of empowerment and liberation instead of obedience and control. For 2,000 years, two versions of Christianity.
Bigger than the city lights down in Times Square. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey yo, whose idea was it to sentence Diddy on the 30th anniversary of the O.J. Simpson verdict? That was me, boss. That was me. I'm the culprit. You're so funny. You're so funny. All praise Saturn. They don't understand that. They don't understand that. That was smart. That was smart. And you gave him the 4.2 years? They don't get how much we love the number 42 with black people. They don't understand that joke. I know. Matthew chapter 1 verse 17. The 42 generations of Jesus. My grandfather wrote that verse. My grandfather wrote that verse. He changed it. Oh my God, the 42. Sean Kingston, 42 months in jail. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. The first black baseball player we gave him number 42, Jackie Robinson. Right. In the sitcom Martin, he lives in apartment number 42. Then we got rid of Chadwick Boseman on Jackie Robinson Day after he played Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. What's going on? What's next? You know how we wrote in the Bible, Acts 7:6, about 400 years of slavery? Oh my God. Then we established Black History Month in the year 76. Really? Then there's a basketball team called 76ers. It sounds like... Remember, we named the month of February after the underworld demon Phoebus. You know, that's why we got them worshiping Black History Month. We didn't give them that shit for fun because we thought they deserved it. What the hell? They're paying tribute to what we believe in. It's always like that. Come on now. Remember Ephesians 6 verses 5 through 9. Slaves, obey your masters. Then we gave them Black History Month to end on the 59th day of the year. Yo, and remember when we told Obama to go up there on April 30th, 2011 and say on the Church of Satan's 45th birthday that Trump will be president one day? Then Trump become president number 45. Now that was hilarious. And that's their forever president. They're forever dumbasses. I swear to God. Oh my God. You guys killed me. Hey, I gotta head to Bohemian Grove. Yeah, Jay-Z gonna have like 17 kids there or something. I don't know. Hey, can we get rid of LeBron at 42 years old? No problem. Do everything. Oh, and before I forget, remember, this Thursday, October 9th, we're gonna need that bigger than the city lights.
He would have sex with their decomposed bodies. I mean, like, what kind of sick fuck? Hello guys, welcome back for another crime case. I hope you have your snacks in hand. I hope you have a blankie to get comfortable like me. Or maybe just save the video and then come back at nighttime before you go to bed. Get your little true crime, binge in before you go to sleep. This is a good one. This is a long one. This is a juicy one. This one's crazy. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into it. Okay guys, this is not just another scary story. This is a real story about a real man who left a trail of over 70 fucking victims all throughout Washington State and Oregon, was wiping out all of the women. Let's start from the beginning. when it all began. It is July 15th of 1982. The sun was blazing, kids were outside playing. A group of kids were riding their bicycles up and down a familiar river in town that they had been countless times before. But today was different because something unusual caught their eyes in the current of the water. It was not trash, it was not debris, but the body of a young woman. Police would soon make it to the scene and, of course, obtain the body and take it in for examination. An autopsy would later reveal that the body was that of 16-year-old Wendy Lee Caulfield. She was a runaway, and sadly this time she would not be making it home. The 16-year-old had been violently strangled to death. The lead detective on this case was Dave Reichert. He was there for the finding of this body, and he thought this would be the last one. Until 27 days later, on August 12th, the body of 23-year-old Deborah Lynn Bonner was found in the same river. He was like, there's no way. She was also strangled to death as well. This isn't good. This isn't good. 3 days later, 3 more bodies: 17-year-old Cindy Hines, 16-year-old Opal Mills, and 31-year-old Marsha Chapman. I warn you right now, if you have a weak stomach or you have anxiety, please skip. I'm giving you time. That's enough. If you're still here, you want to hear about it. That is your business. You have made the decision to stay. So I want to make it very clear, because I'll be getting those comments like, this is too graphic. Why are you watching then? Don't watch. You've stayed for 3 whole minutes. The thing about Marsha Chapman, she was found in the water with boulders on her body to keep her, under, but one of her arms became afloat and was waving, and the detective on the case said that it was almost like she was saying, hey, I'm here, you found me. That really tugs at my heart. Like, that's sad. When they tried to pull her from the water, her skin kept falling off. She just was falling apart. Obviously that this is the work of the same person, like there was no doubt in their mind. Through the beginning to mid-80s, more and more bodies began to disappear. I mean, it was like clockwork. It was like every couple days another body, sometimes days in a row. Just body after body after body after body. It just would not stop. Investigators asked the community for help. They actually got a tip from a cab driver by the name of Melvin Foster. He told them like, hey, I can probably help you get into the mind of this guy. I'm a cab driver, I'm out in the streets a lot, and I also took classes in psychology, so I think I can help you get into the mind of whoever's doing this. Melvin Foster was looked at very, very closely. They were surveillancing his house, they were following him places, they were just keeping a good eye on him, but as they were doing that, the body count kept climbing. He was innocent. They let him go. Melvin Foster, you're good to go, goodbye. Then we get into 18-year-old Marie Silva. Originally from the Philippines, she relocated to the United States with her family at a young age. She eventually became involved in sex work. This is becoming a pattern with these girls. A lot of them were involved in sex work, not all of them, but a lot of them were, which made it easier for whoever was doing this to these girls to get them in their car. She got into a pickup truck with a man, and her boyfriend followed behind, to make sure she was safe. The boyfriend remembered what the truck looked like that she got into, but then as he was following the truck, he got stopped at a red light, and then he lost the truck, and as he was trying to go find it, he never seen her again. Then 4 days later, he goes back out looking for Marie, but with her father as well. The boyfriend and the father were both looking for Maria, and they found the truck. The boyfriend called police, and he's like, this is the truck that my girlfriend got into 4 days ago. Go to part 2. He would have sex with their decomposed bodies. I mean, like, what kind of sick fuck? Hello guys, welcome back for another crime case. I hope you have your snacks in hand. I hope you have a blankie to...
One reason I feel like a lot of people have become very disillusioned in life is because now that we can all talk to each other like this, it feels like we're all realizing we're getting scammed. And I know what you think, well, what do you mean? Like, what's a scam? Just like everything, just like points broadly at everything in life. It's like you go to college and it's like, I mean, that's a pyramid scheme. I know pyramid schemes, that is a pyramid scheme. Okay. And then you go to work and they're just like, okay, not only do I feel like I'm getting scammed here, but I also feel like I'm scamming people. Like now I'm like a part of the scam. And then you turn on the TV and a politician just opens their mouth and you're like, everything you're saying is a scam. You're just a literal walking scam. You go to the doctor, you got to call the insurance, and everything out of their mouth, you're just like, it feels like this is some kind of scheme. Because it is. And it's just like, there's no escaping it. Everything in life is a scam. Even in death, you have somebody die dealing with the funeral home. It's just like, are you scamming my dead grandmother? Like, what is happening? And when that is just what life becomes, like you literally can't even just open up your phone without somebody being like, buy my course. Like, what is the point? What's the point of all this? Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe to my content. One reason I feel like a lot of people have become very disillusioned.
People of God, very important.
If the moon landing wasn't real, why has no one ever exposed it? That's the question that stops people in their tracks. Because on the surface, it seems simple. If it were fake, surely someone would have spoken up, right? But what if the silence itself is the biggest clue? Picture this. It's 1969. The world is split by the Cold War. America wants to prove it's #1. And suddenly, boom, We're told a group of astronauts traveled 238,000 miles through deadly radiation, landed safely on a dusty gray rock, planted a flag, made phone calls to Earth with crystal clear audio, and came back home without a single issue. Using computers weaker than the one in your microwave. Sounds almost too perfect, doesn't it? Here's where it gets interesting. People assume that if something big were staged, someone would instantly expose it. But think, who could expose it? NASA controlled the cameras, the radio feeds, and every single piece of evidence. The astronauts. They weren't just employees. They were national heroes. Their faces were on stamps. Kids learned their names in school. Imagine the pressure. Could anyone admit it was faked, even if they wanted to? Back then, whistleblowing wasn't seen as brave. It was seen as betrayal. So maybe the better question isn't why hasn't anyone exposed it, but why hasn't anyone repeated it? Why hasn't another country like China, Russia, or Japan sent people back to the moon, especially with today's advanced technology? And why does NASA say they lost the technology and that it's too hard to build again? We can send billionaires into orbit, but we can't rebuild a 1960s rocket. That doesn't sound like progress. That sounds like a mystery. And when you look closer, the details only raise more eyebrows. A flag that waves where there's no air, backgrounds that look identical in different photos, no blast crater under the lunar module, astronauts sweating through interviews, stumbling when asked simple questions about stars. Even Buzz Aldrin once told a young girl, "We didn't go there." He said it himself, not a random internet person. Strange, right? See, once you notice the pattern, it's hard to unsee it. The silence, the missing evidence, the decades with no return trips. It doesn't scream proven science. It quietly whispers controlled story. And maybe, just maybe, the moon landing wasn't just about the Cold War. Maybe it was about controlling a story about where we are, what we are, and what shape our world truly has. A spinning ball floating in endless space, or something much closer and much harder to explain. So where does that... If the moon landing wasn't real, much harder to explain. So where does that leave you? Right here, asking the question you were never meant to ask. Because maybe the reason no one exposed it isn't because it's real, but because those who could never would. And the rest of us, we were told not to question until now. If you want to keep pulling this thread, if you're ready for more stories that flip your whole view of the world, follow this page and watch the next video.
I cannot tell you how friggin' shocked I am that so few people know about the shutdown in Italy. I am blown the hell away. Do you know how many people were in the comments going, "I knew nothing of this"? It wasn't on any legacy media. It wasn't even on my social media feed. This is exactly what they want. This level of control the narrative. Do you think they really want us to know that an entire country shut down in protest? Everybody united, got together and said, "We are not doing this anymore"? They don't want that. And I am blown away that so many people did not know about Italy's shutdown. I'm telling you, go look it up. That shit is powerful as hell. And I promised I would not make any more political posts. My husband is not going to be happy with me. But we have to speak up. And this is the level of FAFO that we need to have. Every time, this is what we need, what Italy is doing right now. I cannot tell you how friggin'
they got tired of all the people coming over the borders and their rights being stripped away because of the people coming over the borders. So they finally was like, "Nah, fuck this shit. It's time to get it cracking."
So when my mom was 14 years old, a boy at her school stole something from her, and she ended up falling madly in love with said boy, and to this day, 44 years later, still says that this boy was the love of her life. story time. So my mom was born in a city in the north of France, pretty small city, and came from pretty humble beginnings. So her dad was actually a sommelier, very French, and her mom was a music teacher. And so my mom, at about 14 years old, was like a pretty nerdy looking kid. She played the harp, loved to play instruments, had like these really big round glasses, very curly blonde hair, you know, the 80s look. And one day at school, she met this boy, an older boy. It's always the older boys, isn't it? And this boy was pretty much the opposite of her. So he came from a pretty wealthy family. His dad was a pretty renowned surgeon in the north of France. They lived in a very big home. He had a very big family. His parents were very much together, whereas my mom's were divorced. And he played handball. So kind of a sports guy, if you will. He smoked cigarettes and, you know, hung out with the boys at school with the leather jackets and so on and so forth. Now, my mom rode a moped to school, which means that in the wintertime, she would wear gloves. And when she would park her moped outside of school, she would leave her gloves in her helmet on her moped. And one day after class, my mom goes to pick up her moped to ride home, and she notices that one of her gloves is missing. Now, when she looks in the helmet, she notices that instead of the glove, there is a note in the helmet. The note reads, "If you want your glove back, come to this party on X date at X time." And it was signed by this older boy. Now, the next day, my mom encounters said older boy and his two BFFs in a hallway and decides to take up the courage to go talk to these older boys and demand her glove back. Now, after refusing a few times and letting her know that she would need to come to the party to get her glove back, they eventually folded and gave her glove back. Now, 6 months go by, okay, between the glove incident and now. My mom then gets re-invited to another party where this older boy is also at. Now, an important detail is that this boy had broken his femur playing handball, and therefore he was in a full leg cast. If you know anything about 80s parties, people used to dance, right? This is how you would, I don't know, flirt, mingle, if you will. So the dancing was a little bit tricky, but they did so nonetheless. So they danced all night, and they ended up falling in love. Now, remember, this older boy was a grade above, right? So when the older boy graduated high school, my mom was still in high school, finishing up her 12th grade. And so this boy had a choice to go in a really far city to go to university or stay close by. And he ended up staying close by in the same city that they both lived in at the time. So they ended up continuing their relationship throughout university. But then back in the day in France, you had what was called like military service. So this older boy ended up going to Russia for about a year. And my mom ended up going to the States to work in an amusement park. Make it make sense. And anyways, so they would write each other letters and speak on the phone every now and then. And because of the distance between them, my mom would have to like order a phone call 24 to 48 hours in advance to call Russia. And it was extremely expensive. So she would spend all her salary from the amusement park on the phone call to this boy. Like, come on, girl, come on. Until one day, this older boy ended up surprising my mom in the States, in this amusement park, and ended up proposing to her. Now, my mom, like, hadn't finished her studies, right? And she was young, like, she was about 21, 22. So she said no to the proposal. So when my mom was 14 years old, a boy at her school stole something from her, and she ended up...
Y'all, the shift has finally hit the fan. People are waking up and realizing that something is missing, something that is necessary, something that is needed. A little bit of Almond Joy, a little bit of Nougat Crunch, Hershey's Bar, Reese's Cup. They're realizing that they need chocolate. So the ones that have distanced themselves from us, they're waking up and realizing, hold on, that we've always been the magic, the black magic, y'all. What the hell? The veil is really lifting, y'all.
I miss black people. I know that sounds crazy, but I am from Georgia, and I used to go to HBCU, and the majority of my friends were black, and now I live in a small town in California, and I miss black people. There's not very many here, and I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my job, I love my friends here, but I miss black people. Don't come for me. I miss the culture, I miss the vibe, I miss the confidence, the jokes, the food. I miss black people. Something's missing in my life, and I've come to the conclusion that that's what it is.
I need some black joy. The fact that black joy even exists as a concept in the world is miraculous to me. Asians are no good at joy. We are good at working hard and being diligent and doing our best, but not joy. Colonizers too. Rich lives, no joy. We should never have hooked our stars to theirs. But black people, especially black Americans, are the best at joy. You've turned it into an art form. I know it came from terrible hardship that you've turned into soul and then into joy. And we, Chinese people, we just turn that hardship into more hard work. But I know you can't give it to us. We have to go out and earn it for ourselves, just like you did.
What do you mean by that? Where I'm from in Pennsylvania, it's mainly Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and the Spanish community, and bless their souls, are great people. They brought great culture and all that. But they always would mess up my beard. The first thing they would do is they would hack it off. I don't like my beard to be short, and they would always end up making it short on me, no matter what I told them. And it would always be a language barrier, too. And then, because of the way my beard grows, I would try to explain to them that you can't make it even, you have to make it look even because of the way that it grows, and they would never do that. And then today, I decided to give another barber a chance. After years, I came to a black-owned barber shop.
That boy fresh! That boy
I think I found a barber.
See, this is exactly what we tried to tell y'all for the past 400 years, but nobody didn't want to hear us. You know what I'm saying? What did y'all do? Y'all hid our history. Y'all lied to us. Y'all manipulated us. Did some crazy things to us. For the past 400 years, we tried to tell y'all. We tried to show y'all how to live in harmony with nature, how to live in harmony with us. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to work in order to earn a living in this system. That's not how nature works. But y'all didn't want to listen to us. Then you guys took our spirituality, you turned it to religion, you made it evil so we wouldn't be able to use it and wake up out of this spell that majority of our people are locked in currently. But now the shift has literally hit the fan. Our brothers and our sisters are waking up, and now this is the collapse of this three-dimensional system because we don't want to play this game anymore. This is what actually brings me black joy. So yes, y'all, my brothers and sisters, the shift is here, but I want you to realize everywhere you go, I want you to know that you are someone's almond joy, okay? The shift is here. Everybody's going through it. They see it. They feel it. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
You're not going to believe a word of this story, but it...
Yeah.
You're not going to believe a word of this story, but it actually happened to me and my girlfriend, and she was there to witness every element of it as it was taking place. This rock is not from this dimension. Well, it might be from this dimension, but it came through from another dimension. Before you scroll on thinking I'm absolutely out of my fucking mind, listen up. It's 2020, height of the pandemic, okay? It's the summer. Me and my girl stressed as shit. We lost our jobs. We're trying to form something on our own. We're trying to go our own way. And every single day felt like an uphill battle. We had no roommates. We had no cats and dogs. It was just her and I. We had each other's backs, and that was it. And it caused a lot of tension between the two of us, too, right? One night we're cooking dinner, and we hear on the back door. She heard it. I didn't hear it. I was by the stove, and she's like, I think someone's knocking on the door. I was like, what the fuck? No one should be knocking at my back door. So I immediately ran and opened it. There's nobody there. Now, I'm like, okay, obviously it's like a bug hitting the wall. It's the middle of the summer. No big deal. So a few weeks later, or a few nights later, we start to see flickering lights, whatever. These lights are going out. Then the appliances start fucking up. Okay, that's weird. Let's get those fixed. None of this we were correlating to each other, okay? We thought these were all separate incidences, and this was just the worst year of our life, the worst bad luck, okay? One night we're sleeping in the middle of the night, and we had a bookshelf that was drilled into the wall, and it hung on the foot of our bed. It collapsed. After being there for years, it collapsed out of nowhere, and every heavy object on that bookshelf fell on our bed this close to our legs. Matter of fact, there was a printer and a couple paint cans that were like half full. It would have been rough, and the printer fell about this close to my girl's leg. It would have been a totally different night if it would have hit her, okay? Still, we're thinking, man, what the fuck? We put too much on this bookshelf. We are not putting any of this together. Well, then, a couple nights later, we order food. We go to get the food. I go outside. We usually use my car. Sometimes we would use hers. We go to get in my car. It won't start up. That's weird. My battery never dies. I never have this issue. I use this car every single day. We'll take your car. Grab her keys. Her car won't stop. Now, neither of our cars had ever done this before, and now, for whatever reason, on this particular day, they both decided to shit the bed, okay? So, again, we're like, this is horrible. I think we walked to get our food, and it was just like we had to call somebody to come there and help us jump our batteries because we couldn't jump the other one. Story for a different time. Anyway, one night, about a week later, we go to bed early, and we never went to bed early, okay? We went to bed at like 9 o'clock. I don't think I've been to bed at 9 o'clock since I was in elementary school, okay? We go to bed around 11 o'clock. She wakes me up, and she goes, I think someone's in our house. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, I heard a bunch of rattling and noises and banging downstairs. It sounds like somebody's carrying chains around. Now, that's a pretty terrifying thing to hear when you wake up in the middle of the night, especially you live alone. We did live in a graveyard. I know this sounds fucking crazy, and I left that part out because it's not really relevant as you may think it would be. Okay, so I wake up and I go to check the house. As soon as I walk out of our bedroom, which was on the second floor, she goes, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yo, what is going on? I'm thinking she is like still half asleep. She's in the middle of a dream. And she goes, I saw a black shadow run past you right before you left this room. And I was like, okay, honey, all right. I'm like, what is going on with her? I check the house, find nothing at all. I don't hear nothing. I'm thinking she's still sleeping. So I go back upstairs. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I hear ding. Now, we were doing renovations around the house, just simple stuff, painting stuff, changing lights, all that good stuff, because everything was kind of falling apart. And there was a screw that you screw in like an outlet screw. It was hanging on the banister right outside of my room. That screw, for whatever reason, jumped itself off the banister, lunged itself across the hallway, ricocheted off my bedroom door, and landed on my carpet. What? So I flipped the fuck out. I was like, yo, what is this? What is happening? How did that get there? What is that? Because we heard it. We heard the ting. We heard where it plopped. There it is. Oh my fucking God, okay? Her and I are losing it, but we're both like, man, what is happening tonight, you know? And so we stayed up. We talked about it for a while. Like, it was hard to go back to bed, but eventually we did. We wake up the next day and we're like, what the fuck was that? I don't know. Let's get to work. Let's move on with our day. That night, different story. We go to sleep around 11, still super early for us for whatever reason. I think we were just exhausted from going through all this weird shit and still not putting any of this together, not putting two and two together in the fucking slightest. So as soon as my head hits the pillow, I hear whop in the hallway. Now I get up immediately and I find this rock, which was not in my house. Matter of fact, you can see the fresh paint right there. That is the paint from the wall from where this hit, okay? It hit right outside of my bedroom. There's a bathroom. It was like a few bedrooms and a bathroom, and my bedroom was the closest to the bathroom. So it is laying right there in front of the bathroom door with a little notch taken out of the wall. I can see where it hit, and I can see on here, this was like much more white at the time. Wow, what the fuck is this? So her and I stay up for hours trying to piece this together. You bring this in here? I didn't bring that. Why would I bring that? I didn't fucking bring it. Why is this rock in our fucking house? And I certainly didn't leave it in the fucking hall. What the fuck is going on? Her and I were losing it. Next day, we get up and we start going ham on the internet. Oh my God, we need answers. We need help. Maybe we need therapy. I don't know what's happening. So we're asking everybody, have you ever heard of an entity of some sort materializing river rocks and throwing them at you while you're sleeping? Nope. Nobody had heard any of that shit before, okay? We were frantically searching, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, fast forward a couple days, another rock, another rock. These rocks are being thrown in the middle of the night. Now, we talked to someone who knows about this kind of world, and they said, do not fucking ignore it. If you're going to talk about it, leave the house. Don't talk about it within the house, okay? This thing is obviously trying to get your attention in some way. Don't talk about it. So we didn't, okay? So here's a bunch of rocks that I have to this day. Now, what ended up happening was we stopped paying attention to it. And they did say if it happens again, you need to stand up and you need to tell it you are not welcomed in this house, okay? And so a week went by and nothing happened. And we were like, okay, I get whatever that was. I guess it came and it went. Well, not so much. So one morning we wake up and we're like, maybe this is actually over. So she gets on her phone. She's texting a friend. Hey, I think whatever this is, it's fucking done with. And I am on a certain website because I was talking to a lot of people. And I said, hey, guys, we're both in the middle of like celebrating, okay? It's broad daylight. It's around 11 a.m. Sunday morning. Windows open, light blasting in the room. And then we hear whomp in the back of us, okay? It was another rock, which appeared to come from the ceiling, ricochet off the wall, land next to the thing. I flipped the fuck out. I'm shaking. This is happening in the fucking daytime now. So I stand up. I face the doorway, the general area where it came from, and I was like, you are not welcome in this house. I don't think that the entity was scared in the slightest. I was fucking petrified, so I sit back at my desk. As soon as I sit at my desk, this thing comes flying at my chair. This was the first time it had directly ever thrown anything at me. Okay? And I was sitting in my chair with my hand next to the armrest, and it hit about right here on the armrest of the chair. It dented the chair. Look at this. This is a kiwi-sized river rock. This is the biggest rock that was ever thrown, okay? So we're losing it. We're thinking it's got to have something to do with this graveyard. So we start walking all around the graveyard, and we're looking for any signs of anything. We're looking for rocks like this. Are these rocks out here? Maybe there's a fucking entity out here. It's throwing the rock. Like, we're trying to fucking rationalize it in any way that we can. And so I'm calling family. I'm going on certain social media apps with all my friends and family. What the fuck? There's a ghost in my house. It's materializing river rocks. I need help. Everybody was like, oh, wow, he's back on the stuff again. Even my mom was like, what you doing, son? So, anywho, we come back into the house, and my girl goes, you know the one thing we haven't done since this all started? I was like, what? And she was like, sage the house. Why haven't we at least tried to sage the house? And I was like, good point. She goes, she walks around, she's saging the house. She gets back up in the room where most of the activity is, and she is facing away from the wall, okay? So she has her back towards the wall. Only about this much space between her back and the wall. And this little river rock right here, I think it was this one. It was one of the smaller ones. This little river rock right here. You're not going to believe a word of this story, but it actually happened to me and my girlfriend.
Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, he flew 1,200 miles with the wind in his back into the inside of this planet. Not a molten core, far from it. Continental shells bigger than on the surface, seas that were equal to ours, and he took 300 photographs and brought them back, and I tried to see them, and Franklin Birch, who was at the National Archives, would not let me in. Oh, I got in the cage, but I couldn't look at anything. Caldwell found those records and read them in 1940, and he took his round-wing plane in and went right through the Earth and came out at the South Pole in a 125-mile opening there. That's one thing he did. I told you that was 1940. That was a great accomplishment of the round-wing plane at that point. We hadn't had to fight a war. We hadn't had to do anything. 1952, I hesitate to tell you. I've had 3 attempts on my life, and I don't know if I'll walk away from this meeting if I say any more. I've had the needle, I've been poisoned, and I've had people sent to kill me. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a true story. In Miami, the police discovered two 9-year-old twin girls living alone, not just anywhere, but in a $3 million penthouse. And the most incredible part, they had been there for 14 months without anyone noticing. Everyone thought their millionaire parents were still living with them, but in reality, Sofia and Valentina Herrera were completely alone. In January 2024, an Uber Eats delivery driver began to grow suspicious. Every day, it was the same girl who received the orders, always over $200, always paid in cash, and never ever were there any adults around. The delivery driver decided to call the police. When officers entered the luxurious apartment on Brickell Avenue, they couldn't believe what they saw. The twins were perfectly healthy, the fridge was full, all the bills were paid, but their parents had been missing since November 2022. The girls followed a strict routine: online classes at 8 a.m., 3 meals a day, cleaning the house, and going to bed at 9 p.m. sharp. In the parents' closet, the police found something chilling: 47 envelopes, each with $5,000, monthly instructions, and passwords. The last envelope read, December 2024, now you can ask for help. Neighbors swore they had seen the parents, but security cameras showed completely empty hallways. When the twins were questioned, they only said one sentence: Mom and Dad told us they were here, so we believed them. To this day, the parents remain missing. This is a true story. In my
Former 911 operator, I don't tell you stories to scare you, but to prepare you. Happy Halloween. Here's a DM I received. She said they'd been on a few dates. He seemed normal, and he said, hey, my best friend totally wants to meet you. We're just watching the game, hanging out at his place, you should come by. We'll just order some food, hang out. Since this was going to be their 4th date, she felt comfortable with this. She pulled up and he was already outside waiting for her, which was totally the norm from the previous 3 dates. She said that his friend had ran to the store really quick. He'll be back in like less than 5 minutes. They walked in and instantly something felt off. There was no TV on, no drinks out, like no extra shoes, like it was very bare to the bones. Nothing about the place looked live-in at all. She asked, does your friend have roommates? And he said, nope, it's just him, super chill. She said her gut was screaming at her to get out. She said that she got up and asked for a tour, and he started to do that. As they were walking by the front door, she quickly opened it and said, oh, I left my phone in the car, I'll be right back. He offered to grab it for her, and she said no. She got in the car, she locked the door, and she moved, and she watched. She said that nobody came back, no friend showed. About 20 minutes later, she received a text message from him. He said, you're smarter than most, and she blocked him immediately. She said technically he didn't do anything wrong, which made it very hard to report. She did post in like local dating groups on Facebook and encourages females to absolutely follow those pages on Facebook and other social media. She knew in her gut it was not going to be a group hangout and he had something bad planned for her.
Buckle up, because I'm fucking pissed. Yesterday, on a walk in my neighborhood, I came across a dog who was wandering by herself. She followed me home. I gave her water, I gave her some treats, and then I got her into my car. I took her to a fire station where she was scanned for a microchip. Through that information, I was able to find out where the microchip was registered. I called them. I gave them the number. They told me that the owner did not consent to their information being released, so they were going to contact the owner and give them my information so that we could arrange a pickup. So I cancel all of my plans. I'm sat with Lazy, is her name. I sat with her on the side of my house because I can't bring her into my house because I have 2 other dogs and a cat. And I sit with her and I'm petting her and she's so lovely. But a few hours go by and I don't hear anything. So I call this place back and they said, yeah, we have left them a voicemail, a text message, an email. We haven't heard back. Would you like us to try again? Yes, please. So some more time goes by. They call me back. They said we were able to talk to the original owner of Lazy, and they told us that they, a while back, went to surrender her to a shelter, but some woman stepped in and said, don't give her to the shelter, I'll take her. The original owner gave them that woman's contact information and they called her. They said the phone rang, they left a voicemail, and then every time after they tried to call her, she rejected the call. So I made posts on the internet asking if anybody could take her or if anyone knew a place that would take her, and honestly, I was striking out. Eventually, I did find an organization that said that they could come and scan her chip and try to get around that non-consent laws to see where the new owner of this dog is, and that they would take her. I have a rescue dog who was abandoned multiple times before we found her, and they don't deserve that. And yesterday I fucking cried a lot because I wish that I could give this dog some more, but I just can't. I just got a fucking DM from the woman who abandoned Lazy. Now, I know everyone is going to want the mob and to go after pitchforks. I am not sharing her screen name because every time I do that, I get a community guidelines violation and my account almost taken down, but I will share what she said. OMG, Misha, wrong spelling. I saw your post on Facebook about the dog you found. That's actually my dog, Lazy, and it makes me so happy she found you of all people. I had to leave her because it was getting to be too much work with everything I got going on. I wanted the dog to help my stress, but she was a lot of work and I need a break. But wow, she found the best person and I know she'll have a good life. Are you fucking kidding me? Newsflash, bridge troll, your lack of being able to take care of your responsibilities does not make them mine. I said to her, you abandoned your dog in an unfamiliar neighborhood to fend for herself and you're casually DMing me about it? Are you actually out of your fucking mind? Read these words carefully. Every uplifting video I've made, every confidence building, stand up for yourself, you deserve kindness videos I make are not for you. Not a single positive sentiment I wish upon my following is meant for you. I learned from her microchip that she had already been abandoned once and given to you, and then you have it in you to let her loose in a neighborhood far away from your house because you know it's trash behavior and you assume she's now my dog? I can't take her because of my cat, and now she's in a shelter. She's a 4-year-old and known to have multiple homes. What the fuck do you think her chances are? Follow your tits, babe. Straight to hell. I thought this would be known, but apparently it's not, so let me make this crystal fucking clear. If you follow me, and you have it in you to leave a helpless and innocent being to fend for themselves, most likely to meet a tragic demise, unfucking follow me. Buckle up, because I'm fucking...
So I just had to share this story with you all this morning, but last night we were supposed to go to a trunk or treat event, and we went all the way there. We drove. There was nothing there. So I had two very amped up kids ready to go, do some Halloween trick or treating, and there was nothing. So on our way there was a small church that we saw with a bounce house, and my son was like, can we please go back there? Please, 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 mommy. And I was just like, it's a really small church. It's probably just meant for them. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to take something from their congregants. So he's like, please, please. And I'm like, okay, all right. So we drive, we make a loop back. We drive in the parking lot. The minute our feet hit the concrete, we were welcomed and surrounded by love. My kids went to the bounce house. They then had games where they were giving out tickets to all the kids. So my kids played every single game. And the sweet people were giving them extra tickets. They were like, here, oh yeah, you won. You totally won. They were just loading them up with tickets. So we keep going, and, they're blasting gospel music. So my kids love worship. They were dancing, and they were like just having such a good, sweet time. And mind you, I have been to so many churches over the years, including one that I attended for many years. And I've been to events like this, and never once did anyone really say hello or welcome or, talk to me. Even at my own church, I'm not even kidding you. And these people were so like, hey mama, how are you? And they were talking to my kids. There was just so much love. Like, you could feel it in this church parking lot. It was incredible. So at the end of the loop, my son was like, can we go inside? Can we go inside? And I was like, I just didn't want to take something that wasn't ours. This is a small church. You could tell this was really an event for, the people that attend every Sunday. So just as we were about to head out, this person stopped us, and she's like, excuse me. She's like, you guys all need to come in here. So my son was like, Mom, I told you. So my social anxiety, my self-will was taking over. So I was like, okay. So we walk in, and they have tons of food. When I tell you, it was like stacks and stacks of pizza boxes and fresh chili and hot dogs and chips. So we had just eaten dinner before we left. So one of the women was like, would you guys like some food? And I was like, oh, we just ate. Thank you so much. And then my daughter, who's the pickiest eater of picky eaters and never really wants to eat, was like, I'm hungry. So they loaded up a plate for her. They loaded up a plate for my son, gave them extra bags of chips and soda. Not they already had enough sugar that day, but I'm not even making this up. So anyway, they're sitting and coloring. They had activities for the kids inside. They were like, don't forget, you have all those tickets. So I'm thinking, oh, they're going to win a lollipop. Great way to end the night. My kids will be super happy. So we go in this room. I kid you not, it's like Toys R Us. They have full on toys, tons of flashcards and, little gift card. I mean, they went all, I can't even imagine how much they put into this. It was just crazy. So my daughter got Barbie flashcards, my son got a yo-yo, my daughter got a yo-yo, they got candy. I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely just, and I felt so guilty. And they were like, no, we're having this event for the babies. We're having the event for these kids. And I was like, thank you so much. I made my kids say thank you over and over. So we're about to leave, and my son darts in front of me and runs out. And I'm like, the mom and me, I was like, where are you going? So all of a sudden I hear him say, Granny, Granny. And there's this woman there, and she goes, Axel, that's my son's name. And they just start hugging. And I had no idea who this woman was, but he obviously did. It was his class volunteer. And she's just like, I love your son. We talk about Jesus all the time at school. And sometimes he helps me, and sometimes I help him. He does not have a lot of people in his life. And to know that she's at his school, caring for him when I'm not there, is just, she's part of some state program to volunteer. To volunteer in a school is a lot. And she was such a sweet person. I have her permission to share her photo at the end. Anyway, they embraced, and then he kept walking around with her, and he was like, Granny, come here, let me show you this. I got a yo-yo. And I've been having a really hard season of my life. And last night, God was like, you're in the right place. You're in the right place where you needed to be. So anyway, eventually we were about to leave, and she just gave him a hug, and everyone said goodnight to us, and it was just an incredible event. It really was. And it was just so much love in a small parking lot. So much love. I will never forget that night. My kids woke up this morning, they were playing with their toys from last night, and they were just like, we had such a good time, Mom. And I was like, you did, you really did. And my son was like, those people really love Jesus. They had Jesus in everywhere, even in all their trunk or treat carts. And I was like, they do. And we've been to so many church events, and I don't think we've ever witnessed so much love at just, and it wasn't a mega church, it wasn't a big church, it was just a small little place with a lot of seeds of faith. So I had to share that with you guys because it meant the world to me. And it's just, I know it's a hard time for a lot of people, and sometimes we just need a reminder that God is watching us, and there are a lot of good people in this world. Really are. Love you, bye.
Told you it was a black church.
So I just had to share this story with you all.
Let me tell you all about a coincidence, and you all tell me if it's as
We're
wild
just
as I think it is. Back in the 90s, when I was in high school, I was an extra on a couple of films, and one in particular was Snake Eyes, a film that starred Nicolas Cage. And do you want to know where I was an extra on that film? At the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Okay? Do you want to know the plot of that movie? It involves an assassination of a politician named Charlie Kirkland. He was shot. The name of the person who shot Charlie Kirkland was named Lincoln Tyler. The tagline for the movie Snake Eyes: believe everything except your eyes. Does anyone else find that odd? Let me tell you.
The Titanic was a lot more horrifying than you thought, and was far worse than what you learned. But why? First off, you would be sleeping when it hit the iceberg, waking up to a loud bang and shake in the middle of the night, and at first you wouldn't even realize what happened, most people going back to sleep thinking nothing of it. When only 20 minutes later, you would start to hear commotion in the halls, being told to go to the top deck immediately, still in your night clothes, thinking it was some kind of drill. At this point, the crew already knew the ship was going down, but you wouldn't even know it yet. only feeling a very slight tilt in the ship. On the top deck, they would try to keep you distracted by playing music while slowly releasing safety boats to prevent panic, where only women and children could escape first. But as time moved on, the tilting grew much worse, where people on the bottom deck would start to see water flowing through the halls and rooms, standing in a large crowd for over an hour waiting to hopefully get a lifeboat. But as the clock neared around 2 a.m., a slow realization would take place that there's not enough safety boats for everyone. At this point, the entire ship would go into a full panic, needing to fight against the crowd to try to get onto the last few boats. Within the panic, the ship would tilt even more, causing the power to go out, which would be pitch black since there was no moonlight on that day. At around 2:18, the tilt would become so extreme it would eventually cause the ship to snap in half, many people flying off or being hit by debris, and if you somehow stayed on the ship, it was now rapidly sinking, where your only choice was to either dive into the pitch black 28 degrees water trying to find a lifeboat, or stay on the ship slowly being lowered into the water, freezing to death. The Titanic was a lot more horrifying than you thought, and was
INFJ is the rarest personality type. Speaking in the terms of the popular MBTI typology, it is the archetype of a quiet strategist, a person who sees deeper than they speak. Their strength lies in the ability to sense others' motives and to connect patterns invisible to most. The INFJ lives by inner meaning. They observe, analyze, predict, yet rarely reveal what they truly perceive. For them, understanding others is a way to control chaos, to find order in the emotional disorder of the world. The inner conflict of an INFJ is born from the tension between empathy and distance. They feel the pain of others so intensely that they must emotionally withdraw to avoid exhaustion. Outwardly calm and gentle, yet inside there is constant mental activity and ongoing analysis of every detail, every word. Their psyche resembles a laboratory where emotions are filtered through rational analysis before becoming action. This description precisely conveys the psychological portrait of a profiler, an analyst who reads between the lines of behavior, an investigator attuned to the emotional dynamics of a room, a person with an almost intuitive understanding of fear, shame, and power. In essence, this is an INFJ with well-developed introverted intuition, NI, and extroverted feeling, FE. These are the profilers who, as it is often said, can understand the monster without becoming one. It is the defining INFJ formula: deep empathy without the loss of inner control. I know how essential these qualities are in my work, but do I consider myself a genius? Certainly not. Yet, I believe that the more geniuses the world has, the more breakthroughs and safety it will gain. The focus of human curiosity will shift from deviant tendencies to scientific and transformative discovery. I am deeply impressed by how seriously the scientific project World of Geniuses studies the brain and how, through their quantum G testing, they identify the zones of genius in a child's mind. It gives me hope that not all is lost, that future generations are still capable of proper development, especially if they become generations of realized geniuses. Perhaps I'll share a quote from their website. Genius is an extraordinary phenomenon that plays a defining role in the progress of civilization. Just one idea can turn the tide of history and change the course of humanity. INFJ.
The woman behind me is Rosemary Kennedy, sister to JFK. And what happened to her goes down as one of the most inhumane medical disasters in history. She is best known for receiving a botched lobotomy when she was only 23 years old, and it left her profoundly disabled. And people don't know that much more about her. So today, we're going to shed some light on the story of the tragic life of Rosemary Kennedy. Reminder, I cover a lot of dark stories on this page, so viewer discretion is advised, but follow along if you'd like to hear more. So, something really important to know going into this story is something called the Kennedy Curse. If you've never heard of it, the Kennedy Curse is the name folks give to the long line of misfortunes that have haunted the Kennedy family for generations. And come to think of it, I might need to make a series about the Kennedy Curse. But this refers to plane crashes, assassinations, scandals, mysterious deaths. The list goes on. And people talk about the Kennedy Curse like it started with JFK. But when you go back, it actually starts with Rosemary. So Rosemary Kennedy is referred to as the missing Kennedy, or the forgotten Kennedy, or the hidden Kennedy. Honestly, her story reads like a mystery novel with half the pages missing. Also, and this is important, this is probably going to be a multiple part series. I'm so sorry, I tried to keep it short, but as I was researching, things just kept coming up. I think I talk slow or something, so I will release all parts on my feed, and thank you for being patient and for sticking with me. So, Rosemary Kennedy was the third of the 9 children born to Joseph and Rose Kennedy, and unfortunately, she was kind of set up to fail from the moment she was born. Because tragedy just seems to follow this girl wherever she goes, and here's what I'm talking about. Doctors would later call this a uterine accident, but in modern terms it'd be considered a brain injury or a birth injury. Rosemary Kennedy was born on Friday, September 13th, 1918. Yes, Friday the 13th. And she was born right in the middle of the Spanish flu epidemic. The doctor was late because he was busy tending to flu patients, but her mother was in labor and Rosemary was ready to come out. But the midwife ordered Rosemary's mother to keep her legs closed until the doctor arrived, even though she was already crowning. And that's what she did. She kept her legs closed for 2 agonizing hours while Rosemary was stuck in a birth canal. And by the time Rosemary was already born, her brain had been starved of oxygen. As Rosemary grew older, it became clear that there may have been some damage, but it wasn't catastrophic. She was slower to walk and talk, but by today's standards, many believe that she would have had like a developmental delay or a learning disability. But back then, the language was cruel, so she was labeled slow or simple or difficult. And her parents, Joe and Rose, were not okay with that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Kennedy family, they were as close to American royalty as you can get. Led by Joseph P. Kennedy and Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, they built their fortune through whiskey, steel, and films before turning that power toward politics. And they raised their 9 children to chase excellence and value status and serve their country. And by all accounts, many of them were able to achieve that. But Rosemary always lagged behind her exceptionally talented brothers and sisters. She just struggled. So the family solution was to keep her hidden in convents and private schools and really focus on her social skills and her manners. So we're going to jump forward, and it brings us to 1938. Rosemary Kennedy is now 19 years old, and this is probably the happiest period of her life, which I would really like to feature in this story because there is just so much sadness in her life. So her father is appointed as the U.S. ambassador to the UK in 1938, and the entire Kennedy family moves to London. And for a few years, she really flourished. She and her sister were adored by the British press. They were photographed at galas, in newspapers, and they even went to Buckingham Palace and met Queen Elizabeth. And for once, Rosemary wasn't hidden, she was celebrated. When World War II broke out, most of the Kennedys fled back to America. But Rosemary stayed in England with her father, and she was sent to the Belmont House, which is a quiet Montessori school in the countryside. So even while she was doing well in London, the pressure of being in the press all the time still seemed to be getting to her, because there were a lot of photographs at the time showing her father grasping her tightly during public appearances, which were often marred by like stumbles and her like blundering. And the school offered a refuge and peace from the pressure of that publicity. Rosemary referred to her school as the most wonderfulest place I've been to. I just can't even, my heart. Unfortunately, this is where things take a turn, and it brings us to the question that still haunts people today. Why did Rosemary Kennedy have a lobotomy? The woman behind me is Rosemary Kennedy, sister to JFK. And what happened?
I don't know who the fuck needs to hear this one today, but I know that at least one of you does, okay? I'm sitting right now in my beautiful, brand new driveway, okay? I have a brand new house. I have a 3-car garage. It is fucking stunning. I'm looking at it right now. It looks so fucking good. I just paid $200,000. I have a pool put in the back of my house. My life is a fucking dream, okay? I'm in this beautiful Tesla that was really hot, but I'm in my beautiful Tesla. I love my fucking life. I'm literally obsessed with everything that I'm doing. And this is what I just want you to fucking understand, okay?
I ain't
Not
see
too
your
long
name
ago,
at first.
a couple
I
years
thought you was
ago,
Soul Brother.
I
Who
could not
that,
afford
Chaz?
to fill up my gas tank fully. So I would put $10
Yeah,
in my
he was a
gas tank
fucked up
on a
dude.
Tuesday
Like,
to
there
make
was
sure
no
that the
reason
rest
for
of the money
that.
that I had lasted
And didn't
until
the hide
Friday.
her
I used to
after?
turn off auto pay on my bills because I could not afford always to pay my bills in full. Okay? I was the kind of person that could not afford blueberries at the store because I could not justify.
So according to NASA, the sun just let off some of the most powerful solar flares of this year. And they said this solar flare can cause disruption in the internet, all your devices, and it can even cause blackouts. I'm just letting y'all know right now, if your shit start acting a little walkie-talkie, just know it's because they said it's the solar flare. And the other night,
So I'll tell you about an interesting patient that I saw today in consultation, Dr. Bob Gans, board-certified gastroenterologist. This is a patient who came to the hospital about a week ago. She's been in the hospital for a week with severe abdominal pain. She presented with severe abdominal pain and very severe protracted nausea and vomiting. She's just starting to get better now. Her pain is better. Still has a little nausea and
I've
vomiting.
heard.
And what it turns out she has is
Still,
a
though,
disease called
didn't deserve what they
cannabinoid
did to her.
hyperemesis syndrome. And it's from smoking marijuana or ingesting marijuana to excess. So these are heavy users of marijuana, people who've used marijuana for years, 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes longer, and they come in with severe abdominal pain and severe nausea and vomiting, very significant. Cannabinoid means the active ingredient in marijuana. Emesis is the medical term for vomiting. Hyperemesis means you vomit a lot. So cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, very significant disease. Now, back in the day, when I was smoking marijuana as a kid in high school and college, the marijuana that we smoked had only about 1% THC in it. It wasn't very potent. But today's marijuana is much more potent. It's been engineered to have about 95%, up to 95% THC. And that amount of THC taken, smoked, or ingested over many months or years can lead to this syndrome. Now, exactly why people get this syndrome, we don't know. It does seem it's another brain-gut microbiome access syndrome. It tends to mess up the cannabinoid receptors in the gut and brain signaling, and it causes this abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting. It's very interesting in that hot baths or hot showers tend to make people better. So one of the ways we diagnose this is people come in, they're heavy marijuana users, and we say, do you feel better when you take a hot bath or hot shower? Invariably, they say yes, and that tips us off. There's something about marijuana at this level of potency that affects thermoregulation, either in the hypothalamus or affects capsaicin receptors. And taking a hot shower, hot bath, tends to ameliorate the symptoms. People feel better, so they do it. So it's a good tip-off to us. The diagnosis is one of exclusion. We just exclude everything else. We take a good history. It turns out people are heavy marijuana users. This hot bath shower thing is a good clue for us that this is what it is. The only solution is to stop marijuana. If you don't stop marijuana, you're a heavy user and you keep using it, this syndrome will come back over and over and over again. Once you get it, there's no way out other than discontinuing marijuana completely. And people who are addicted to marijuana don't like to hear that. Now, this is a bit of a paradox. It's an interesting paradox for us because we use marijuana to treat nausea and vomiting, particularly in chemotherapy patients at relatively low doses. But at high doses over many years, you get the opposite effect. Instead of helping nausea and vomiting, marijuana causes nausea or vomiting. So super interesting syndrome, cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. We're seeing it a lot now. It's relatively new. I didn't see it in the beginning of my career, but with these more potent strains of marijuana that are out there, we're seeing it a lot. It's not a small deal. People really suffer with this. It's really significant, and it's not unusual to have people hospitalized for a week or even more with this. So it's an interesting thing in gastroenterology. Okay, now you're informed. As always, like and follow, ask your questions. I'll try to get to as many as I can, and we'll take on another topic tomorrow.
It is a real thing.
Thank you.
You guys, when is this going to be over? I feel
I feel that this movie has gone on for 10 years straight.
Diet.
This is, I literally just looked it up to make sure that they weren't going to trick us and come back for a third one. They say there's talks, but please God, no. These two, they need to separate. I think that they did sit them down before this press tour and they were like, you need to take the mental illness down a few notches. Like, I do think that they've chilled out a little bit, but like whatever's happening here is not healthy. This isn't good. Ariana is transforming into Arigato. This is looking very much Arigato. And she still has that Asian grill tattoo. So I do think it's gonna come full circle. I think both of these two people it needs to be written into their contract that they sit down and split a rotisserie chicken like before every press junket, because there's so many tears, and I do think it's because they're hungry. Because like I get upset when I'm hungry too, you know. And then this guy, this is the sexiest man alive. He's not that bad, but I think it's because I don't know anything about him. And then we have SpongeBob. SpongeBob, he did have a glow up. We knew that was gonna happen. Like, before Ari leaves them, she usually does, like, she helps them a little bit before she then, like, ruins their life. I don't know, sometimes, like, this made me feel, like, bad for him. I know I shouldn't, because he left his wife and his child, but, like, Ariana she has some sort of power over these men. And he was always going to be an easy target. He's a sponge. Okay, he's literally SpongeBob. It's insane. This was a crazy movie even for Ariana. That's why we need to close this chapter. We need to be done with this. Oh my God, I almost forgot to talk about Frankie.
I think I just started Ariana.
I know she's freaky deaky, but you know that she must roll her eyes a little bit at Frankie. It's wild. It's wild to be like more extra than Cynthia Erivo. These are a lot of theater kids competing for attention. It's a lot to handle. That's why the public, we need to reject this. We need a break. I think that he might be too gay even for the Wicked premiere. That's saying something. You got.
I don't care what nobody say. Just listen to this clip.
Please leave. I hate to say this, but I just don't have enough body bag.
As bad as I don't want to stitch this clip, I didn't want to do it, but I want y'all to hear what exactly he said. Now y'all listen. Everything that's done in the dark comes to the light. And for him to say what he said, I want y'all to leave, is a mandatory. Please go, please leave. I won't have enough body bags. For one, we know the storm came, it got dark. The storm had them passed, and it was like it was a regular day, but we didn't have no electricity. Then all of a sudden, the people hear a loud bang, a loud boom, and boom, they go to levees. The hell, the storm had them fucking pads. Y'all blew up the motherfucking levees, cause that fucking shit was a set up. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. TikTok, this is for entertainment purpose only. I'm only here to bring awareness to my friends for educational purposes only. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. I'm pissed off. I don't care what nobody say. Just listen to this clip.
Please leave. I hate to say this, but I just don't have enough body bag.
As bad as...
I think white people have always been given the gift of individuality, and that is why they find it hard to sympathize or empathize with those who have not. Like, I realized this one time when I was talking to my parents. So I'm adopted. I was adopted from China. My parents are both white. And I'll never forget one time when I was talking to both of them about Mark Wahlberg. And I remember telling them that I don't really like him because when he was younger, he beat an Asian man pretty severely to the point of blinding him still to this day. All because he was Asian. And my parents, I don't want to say justification, but justification for it was that he was very young and that it was a long time ago. And I just said, I don't really care how long ago it was. I'm never gonna like him because of that reason. And I remember talking to my mom, I was like, I really had to break it down individual style for her. So my mom is a white woman with brown short hair, and her name is Bonnie. And I had to really individualize it for her. I was like, okay, just imagine this dude goes around beating white women with brown hair named Bonnie. Nobody else. Literally nobody else except that. And all of a sudden, now he is reformed, he's changed. Would you trust him? And my mom really sat there and was like, no, I guess, yeah, I would be a little weary if he was going after very specifically that curricula. And that was a long time ago, and we laugh about it now, but I think you can take that a step further, and I feel like that's why there's a lot of confusion when it comes to representation, because for my mom to feel seen in like a movie, it would need to be something very fitting to that criteria. It needs to like match her hair, on top of her hair length, on top of her eye color, on, you know, whereas when I was little, if there was an Asian person in a movie or a show, I was so excited, regardless if we were the same gender or the same ethnicity, or if they wore glasses or not, or they had the same hair length as me or the same hairstyle. I still was like really seen because there's just not that much to begin with. Like, they don't have to look like me at all, but at least it's something. Like, for white people, that's just kind of like the default. So when it comes to us asking for more representation, in their minds, it's kind of like, well, what more could you possibly want? Because they're just not used to individualizing people like me as much. I think white people have always been given the gift of individuality, and that is why they...
Oh God, my heart is still racing, and I'm still extremely emotional. Oh wow.
Right,
So
crazy white
all
lady.
this
What
talk
you got
about
for
the
us?
3-eye atlas. Oh shit, I'm still emotional. I've been watching people talk about this comet, 3-eye atlas, and I'm a psychic, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna portal myself. Oh, okay, I'm back.
Sound like she just had an orgasm or something.
I decided to, if you will, teleport or just astral project, theta project, if you will. I take myself into a theta brainwave, and then I head up, and I just commanded that I wanted to go to the spaceship. That's what it is, it's a spaceship. And immediately I felt it's veiled, so you can't see in it unless they let you see it. I'm shaking. They don't let you see in it unless they want you to see in it. And as soon as I felt that, this being popped into my face.
Yeah, I'm known
And
for
yes, they
doing
do
that.
look like they're tribal. They're tribal. And he looked at me and he said, home. And immediately I started panicking and crying, and I have never felt so in need of not being here. Holy shit. I went into like a panic, like an emotional panic, and I told him, you've got
That's
to
it.
stop, like
I'm
you gotta
dating
back
white
off, I can't
women now.
handle this energy, because I'm crying, what the hell?
I need one like this one.
Home. Oh my god. Alright, I've gotten myself somewhat under composure here. I'm shaking still, and obviously still trying to clean up my emotional energy that has just absolutely gone whack. Like, whatever high vibration that they're bringing, my body's not ready for. And I wonder if this is what's going to happen tomorrow. Or hit tomorrow, but rather gradually hit the rest of the consciousness. So when I got up there, it is long, and it is like, it's made of rock, like obsidian. Obsidian. That's what they're telling me, obsidian. And there's like hundreds of windows, but you can't see them because it's got this blanket, if you will, but it's like a transparent blanket. It's a veil, is what they say. It's a veil over it. And they're all traveling, and searching. I don't know what they're searching for, but they do have a blue skin tone. And I read somewhere on TikTok that someone had seen that they were Native American. They're not Native American. At least that's not what I'm perceiving. They're tribal. They're taking my fucking voice again. What do you point to? Interstellar. Interstellar is the word he's using, and he's pointing north. Why north? You're in space. But anyways, he's pointing north with a sharp edge, like spear, north. And they're bluish skin, but they're tribal. They're not Native American, and I can see why you would think that they are. And holy hell, the technology. And the way they communicate is telepathically. Clearly, I'm psychic, so I'm picking it up, but that's how they talk. Everything is done via mind. Power.
She watched something, it ain't right.
They're tall. They say we are mistaken as aliens. But they're not. They're like, we're from our own home.
Where's my lighter at?
Searching. Man, there's so much information. Oh my God, but when he popped in my face, I say he, but when the being popped in my face and he said home.
Lighter's up.
I have never, besides really trying to explain hyperventilating, I have never felt that before. It was like, don't leave me, type feeling, don't leave me. Here. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying here. Oh, lots of information. If I have more, I'm going to say, because this is freaking fascinating, and I'm blown away by my physical response. Wow. Oh God, my heart is still racing, and I'm still extremely emotional. Oh wow. So all this talk about the 3-Eye Atlas. Oh shit, I'm still emotional.
Here's a neuroscience method to stop being so pissed off. Here's the thing.
I'm not saying the moon landing was faked, but there's an argument that it is impossible for humans to leave something called the Van Allen belt. Okay, the Van Allen belt is this electromagnetic field that protects us from cosmic radiation. So the belts themselves have heavy radiation. So if you go into it, you die. But also if you leave the Van Allen belt, there's nothing to protect you from cosmic radiation, so you could die as well. So some scientists actually believe that it's impossible to leave Earth, okay? We'll just die. I don't know how they were able to do this. And as you may know, right now, a lot of countries, America, China, are trying to get back to the moon. They're having a really hard time, okay? They're having a hard time because NASA lost all the technology, lost all the footage, lost all the data. Oops. Oh well. Okay. So how was NASA able to keep this secret? Well, guess what? A lot of their most important people were Freemasons. Okay, this is Buzz Aldrin, one of the 3 astronauts. He was a Freemason. Okay. John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth, was a Freemason, 33-degree Mason. Okay. I'm not saying the moon landing was fake.
Boston has always been to me like the Atlanta for white people. Like
that lines up.
Like that is their Atlanta. Like
they love it there.
Especially at work, you'll be talking to like the average 20-something-year-old white woman. They're like, I'm going to Boston for the weekend, and I'm like, why? It's their Atlanta. Boston has always been to me like the Atlanta for white people.
Hey, it's you. You finally made it back. It's 1995. So, how's 2025? You still come to Sears with your dad to look at tools, or did that disappear too?
This place, it was paradise, man. You'd walk in and forget about everything. It was just you and the toys.
Remember this? Be kind, rewind. That little sticker wasn't just a slogan. It was like a promise we all kept. And
after Blockbuster, it was always Pizza Hut. Big New Yorker, big slices, even bigger memories.
back then, this was freedom. No phones, no plans. Oh, just riding until the sun went down, like the world would wait for us.
We didn't have playlists. We had patience. Waiting for your favorite song to come on just so you could burn it to a disc? That was the grind.
This was our world. The mall, a few bucks, your friends, and somehow it felt like everything you'd ever need.
We didn't know it then, but those little days, the ones we rushed through Gez, they were the best ones we'd ever get.
So tell me, would you go back to 1995? Because honestly, I think I'd stay here a while.
Hey, it's you.
The story of Adam and Eve was never about two humans in a garden. It was never about an apple, a talking snake, or disobedience. That's the fairy tale. Here's the truth. Adam and Eve were not human. They were consciousness split into masculine and feminine polarities of source, light beings, fully aware, no ego, no fear, no body. They existed in unity consciousness, pure oneness, no judgment, no shame, no illusion. But oneness has a limit. You can't evolve if everything is the same. You can't choose if there's nothing to choose between. So the soul said, let me experience contrast. Let me descend. Let me forget. Enter the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Not a literal tree, a symbol of duality activation. To eat the fruit was to say, I'm ready to experience all of it. Light, dark, pain, pleasure. Let me walk through the illusion so I can return with wisdom. The serpent, not the devil. It was Kundalini, DNA. The coded awakening buried deep inside you. Religion demonized the snake because it threatened control. Because once you activate that inner knowing, you don't need a gatekeeper between you and God. So when Eve ate the fruit, she didn't doom the world, she awakened it. She saw herself, she became aware, ego entered, separation began, and the fall? It wasn't punishment, it was a dimensional descent. Spirit entered form, consciousness became flesh, and earth became the classroom for remembering. That's why you forget when you're born, because if you remembered everything, you wouldn't grow, you wouldn't search, you wouldn't transform. And that's the whole point. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to experience, to rise, to return. Not because you were broken, but because you were chosen. The story of Adam and Eve.
In this series, we've been asking the question of who the F do I work for? And of course the answer is Larry Ellison. I work for Larry Ellison, you work for Larry Ellison. In fact, it's starting to look like Benjamin Netanyahu might be working for Larry Ellison too. First, I want to remind everybody that this is predominantly a Substack series. So if you want to read the actual deep dive analysis and see my sources and see my research tools, all of that is going to be over at the Dre Dossier, my Substack. The link is in my bio.
So I've been working at a hotel for, a couple years now. And I've never had anything like this happen. And I'm borderline freaked out. I'm not going to lie. So I'm sitting down here at the front desk, right? And I'm on the computer and I'm just typing away. Phone rings. I don't look at the phone. I just answer it. And, I say my whole little spiel or whatever. And it's just silent. The phone is just silent. After about, 3 or 4 seconds, I say hello again. Nothing. And right before I go to hang up, it sounds like I'm hearing somebody just breathing on the other line. I just hang up and I'm like, okay, whatever. I ain't thinking twice about it. But then I go and look at the caller ID and let me show y'all something. All right. That's the room that called. Okay. Peep that. 505. Now let me show y'all something. I'm gonna go over here to the elevator so y'all know I'm not bullshitting. And I'm gonna turn the camera around. How many fucking floors do you see here? Because I'm pretty sure we don't have a room 505 nor 5th floor. This would be the night I quit. I don't do that shit. I don't do that shit. So I've been working at a hotel for, a couple years now. And
so, Grandma, you're going to be 100 in February, right?
That's correct.
You're living in your own home still.
That's correct. And I take care of it. I keep it clean.
And you are active, and you can get down on the floor.
Absolutely. I wipe my floors on my knees like my mother did. She always tells me that's the only way you can get into the corners, if you get on the floor.
Best advice.
Keep working, keep moving, and eat well. And I take vitamins, putting puzzles together, which is good for your mind. Just keep active.
What do you use on your skin?
I still use Olay at night.
Okay, this
And
is the
what
secret.
I use for my, if I put, I don't even
Is
put
that
makeup
Clinique?
on anymore, but I put that on
And this is a moisturizer, right?
every morning.
And you look fantastic. You don't need a 10-step routine.
When it gets cold, I stand out here with my jacket on with the sun, and I get some sunshine. In summer, I'm out there all the time.
Sunscreen outside?
No, never. I have never worn sunscreen. My exercises right here. I started with this, go through all these.
Almost every night, unless you've had an active day.
In the winter time, I use those all the time.
You're more limber than me.
Yeah, probably.
I don't believe that. Oh, for heaven's sake.
So, Grandma, you're going to be 100 in February, right?
That's correct.
So this is weird. I just checked my mail and I got a letter from Trent Reznor. I'm not gonna dox him, but this is his address and he has my home address. So I'm gonna open this and read it to you. Okay. So here it is. Dear Paul, fuck you. First of all, why are you telling people I am in your comments? That was our secret, and now you have spoiled it. Secondly, how dare you try and predict anything I do regarding album releases, concert set lists, etc. Eat shit, you Magic 8-Ball motherfucker. Bet you didn't predict that. Ha. And speaking of concerts, if I want to play Head Like a Hole, The Hand That Feeds, Head Like a Hole again, then hurt 4 times in a row, then talk for 45 minutes about how awesome I think The Hand That Feeds is before playing it 6 more times, I fucking will, and you will shut the fuck up and drink in every drop. With regards to my merch prices being too high, just you fucking wait. Next time around, I'm passing out your picture and you are going to get whatever the opposite of a discount is. A double count. That's right, bitch. All merch prices are double for you. But that's not all. I am going to create an exclusive t-shirt for fans to be handed out for free at every date in 2026. It's you with a mouthful of cocks, and it's free. So from that point on, every Nine Inch Nails fan that sees you ever will think, gosh, why does that guy look familiar? Didn't I see him with a mouthful of cocks? And finally, Sex Dwarf? Ha! The only sex dwarf you're going to see is the one I fire out of a cannon through your window. I don't really get that. In summation, fuck you, you fucking pig. Lol. Yours, Trent. P.S. Atticus says, tell your cat, pss, 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 pss.
Most people don't know this, but there's a lake in America so deep scientists still haven't mapped the bottom. It's not man-made. It's not fully understood. It's darker than the deep ocean. No rivers flow in and none flow out. Just a silent body of water sitting inside an extinct volcano. At 1,949 feet, it's the deepest lake in the U.S. and one of the clearest on Earth. You can see over 100 feet down, but then the light vanishes. No life, no current. And near the bottom, a giant ancient tree has been floating vertically for over a century. Scientists call it the Old Man of the Lake. No one knows how it's still upright. People have reported lights, objects vanishing, submersibles malfunctioning at 19 feet. Even NASA once studied it to simulate missions to Europa, Jupiter's icy moon. To some, it's just a lake. To others, it's a portal into something colder, darker, and far older than we understand. This is Crater Lake, and it doesn't want to give up its secrets. Most people don't know this, but there's a lake in America.
I am about to share with you a list of spiritual truth bombs that the Matrix hopes you never
Yeah,
figure
for real,
out.
though.
This may ruffle some feathers, and if you're comfortable in your bubble of ignorant bliss, you might just want to scroll. These deep-level spiritual truths took me years to understand, but here they all are in one video. So buckle up. Let me know which one hits you hardest in the comments. Okay, let's go. Jesus taught ascension, not religion. Manifestation is not magic, it's energetic mathematics. Time doesn't pass, you move through timelines. Synchronicities are your soul sending you receipts. Your triggers are portals, not problems. You incarnated with a mission that you're only now remembering. Not everyone around you is from the same star lineage, and that's the point. The universe doesn't test you, it matches your frequency. Dreams are meetings in the astral that you forget on purpose. Deja vu is you slipping into the timeline that you were meant to be in. Your voice carries codes that unlocks others. You don't lose people, their contract simply expires. The Matrix isn't a place, it's a program that you outgrow. Shadows aren't dark, they're unproclaimed power. You were never waiting for a sign, you were waiting for yourself. Spiritual awakening isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you already are. Past lives don't stay in the past if you're here to complete them. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, it's your antenna. Karma isn't punishment, it's alignment work. Soulmates activate you. Twin flames transform you. You didn't choose your birth chart, you designed it. Your manifestations will show up the moment you release the version of you that could not receive them. And you're not waking up randomly. You scheduled this activation. So if that wasn't too much truth for you, let me know in the comments which one of these hit you the most, and if you think you can handle a part 2 with even deeper truth.
Drop 2 candles into fabric softener and give it a few minutes. What happens next will leave you stunned. The scent is so strong, so unforgettable, that even your neighbors will wonder what your secret is. Trust me, you'll want to try this today. Let's begin. Grab a large pan and place it on low heat. Take 3 plain candles, any brand, any color, and drop them in. Let them melt gently, with patience. As the wax starts to soften, you'll see it slowly turn liquid. This step sets the foundation for everything else, so don't rush it. Once the candles are completely melted, carefully fish out the wicks with a spoon or fork. Lay them aside. We'll be using them again shortly. These thin threads may seem insignificant, but they're essential for what comes next. Comment below with your city. Let's see where everyone's watching from. Now pick a heat-safe glass container. Pour the melted wax into the container, filling it about 3/4 full. It already looks cozy, glowing with warmth, but this is just the beginning. Here's where the magic happens. Take your favorite fabric softener and add 1 capful directly into the warm wax. Choose a scent that makes you feel calm and happy. Now add a handful of whole cloves. Watch as they float and settle beautifully into the wax. They don't just look elegant, they also release a deep, spicy fragrance that combines perfectly with the softener. If you want a twist, you can drop in a cinnamon stick or 2. Either way, the scent becomes unique, powerful, and surprisingly effective. Comment yes if you're going to try this at home. Next, take one of the wicks you saved earlier. Place it upright in the center of the container. To keep it balanced, wrap the top around a pencil or chopstick and rest it across the rim. This ensures the wick stays perfectly straight as the wax cools and solidifies. Now, let it rest. You can leave it on the counter or speed things up by placing it in the freezer. Once the wax hardens, remove the pencil, trim the wick, and admire your creation. You've just made a custom candle that looks elegant, smells incredible, and feels like something you'd buy in a boutique store. But the real surprise comes when you light it. As the flame burns, the infused wax slowly releases its fragrance. The mix of softener, clove, and wax creates a scent that lingers in every corner of the room. Subtle yet powerful, cozy yet refreshing. It doesn't just mask odors, it transforms the entire atmosphere. Rate this tip from 0 to 10. I'd love to know what you think. The secret? A few simple ingredients I already had in my kitchen. So now it's your turn. Drop 2 candles in...
So for those that don't know who I am, it's probably the majority of you watching. I'm okay with that. I want to explain, for 12 years I was a U.S. congressman, a Republican. I was elected when I was 30.
1 year of neuroscience in 60 seconds. Let's do it. I want to start off by saying I am not a neuroscientist. I'm just very passionate.
Some parts were given to the Palestinians, some parts were given to Israel, some was split half and half.
Hey, I want to show you something, okay? I'm going to show you something that I think can help you contextualize what's going on around you. This is an international world atlas published by Rand McNally. Here you go. Published in 1941 for the first time, and 1947 most recently. That's what this edition is, okay? I want you to look at these flags and see if you notice an Israeli flag or a Palestinian flag. You won't. Because at the time that this was published, there was no Israel. Look right here. Where's Israel? It didn't exist. It was called Palestine. So we're going to go to page 125. And we're just going to take a look. Okay? Palestine. Now, I want you to look at the names of the towns. They're all in Arabic. If you want an example of what happened to all of these towns after 1948, look up Tentura. It was a fishing village that was depopulated, forcibly, ethnically cleansed, okay? You don't see the West Bank here, do you? Because this is Palestinian territory, all of it. Palestine. And yes, you're going to see Judea here. Because prior to the invention of the so-called State of Israel, Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived in peace in Palestine.
Some parts were given to the Palestinians, some parts were given to Israel, some was split half and half.
Hey, I want to show you something.
Have you ever noticed that a clean car runs better? It really don't, but it seems like it, don't it?
Better experience.
As soon as you get your car washed, don't let you wash it and clean the rims and wet your tires. You start driving it like it seems a little quieter than it normally. It just seems a little faster than what it's normal. It seems, but that's the effect of just cleanliness. In order for us to be successful, we have to be quick thinking, fast moving, clean inside and out, right down to the modern times. And you notice that when you clean yourself up and you clean your home up, you feel better. You're more at peace. Why? Because clutter produces worry, tension, depression, stress. Cleanliness relieves stress. It causes calm, ease, lets tension off of you, and makes you have access to creativity. So without being clean, we won't be as successful as we could be. And that's clean body, clean mind. That's what you put in your mind and your mouth. The food you eat, the thoughts you think, outside of your body should be clean. The place you call your home, even if you don't own it, so what? You rent it, so what? It's yours right now. Keep it clean, keep it organized, because you can't have organized thoughts in a disorganized environment. And you'll be surprised at how much better and how much more you'll get done when you clean inside, outside, your mind, your body, your home, your car, and live like that and watch how much better life will be for you. Have you ever noticed that a clean car runs better?
8 crazy facts the government doesn't want you to know. Number 1. Federal income tax was supposed to be temporary to fund World War I, but became permanent, and the IRS can't actually explain what law requires you to pay it. Number 2. The FBI had a secret program called COINTELPRO that illegally spied on and harassed civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., for decades without warrants. Number 3. The government conducted illegal medical experiments on unsuspecting citizens for 20 years, including giving people LSD without their knowledge to study mind control. Number 4. Social security numbers were never meant to be used as identification. They literally say not for identification on the original cards, but now you need them for everything. Number 5. The NSA collects and stores every phone call, text message, and internet search you make without a warrant through secret programs revealed by Edward Snowden. Number 6. The government can legally seize your property and money through civil forfeiture, even if you're never charged with a crime. They just have to suspect it's connected to illegal activity. Number 7. The government has admitted to covering up UFO sightings for 70 years and recently confirmed that unidentified aerial phenomena are real and unexplained. Number 8. There are secret courts called FISA courts that approve government surveillance requests in complete secrecy with no public oversight. They approve 99.97% of all requests. 8 crazy facts the government doesn't want you to know. Number 1.
Well, folks, I got an explanation for this clean out. This is supposed to be a emptied out apartment. She said 100% emptied and clean. And I walk into this. Yes, a kitchen. Walk into this. It looks like someone still lives here, right? And you would say, no, Sonia, you got the wrong apartment. No, I don't, folks. I can explain what happened from that last video. Look at this shit. This is the richest, smartest, nicest stuff thing that a squatter, 2 squatters, a man and a woman. This was really an emptied apartment. And they moved their shit in here. We didn't bother with this apartment for 2 weeks prior. Now I come in to, check it out, being an emptied apartment. Somebody done moved their asses in, but have decent shit. Food. Unbelievable. So we got to the bottom of it. Yeah, this is what they left. They cannot come back for anything. Too bad, too sad. This was a whole long process. However, this is squatters stuff is what I'm getting at. A squatter moved in to an apartment that other tenants moved out of weeks ago. Actually, it's been a month or so now. Yeah. This is squatter stuff. Been living here this whole time with all their stuff for about 3 weeks, but looks like they have lived here for a frickin' year. Oh my God.
At least they kept it nice
Anyway,
and fresh.
Got to clean this all out now.
I wouldn't
Donate
even
the
be
food,
mad
I
that I
guess,
gotta
whatever
clean
with the
that
food.
out.
I don't know.
Like,
Anyway,
I'd be like,
I'll show you
yo,
what this place looks
yeah,
like
you can
once we
take
get
it
it
as
finally
is, fully
emptied out,
furnished.
and
You can move your
the mystery
extra shit
is
in.
solved
There's all new
about
shit already
this
in
so-called
there.
empty apartment
Right.
slash wasn't empty, but we know we have the right apartment. Well, folks, I got an explanation for this clean.
I was told that I need to stop telling people that I have the cure for cancer because I'm mentally ill. And, I don't know what you expected the woman that found the cure to cancer to be like. I don't know what you expected from me. Because,
I really hope that everybody understands by now that every single thing that we're watching happen in this country and this world is being done intentionally. Every single move that they make is strategic and has been planned out for decades with a single goal in mind. Now, if you are a spirit-filled, Bible-believing Christian, then you know what that goal is. But if you are not, if you don't own a Bible, if you do not believe in God, and you don't really know what is going on, then let me shed some light on the subject for you. They want complete control. They want a world where people will be confined to their own area. Now, You also will be monitored 24/7. You will have zero privacy. So every single thing that you buy, everywhere that you go, every step that you take, every person that you interact with will be monitored. And you won't own anything, so you won't own a home. You'll rent a home, you'll rent a little pod, if you will. You'll rent even your bread maker. You will not own anything, but don't worry, they tell you that you'll be happy with that. Now, what they will also desire is that every single person be 100% dependent on them. So you will have universal basic income. Nobody will work because the entire society, the entire economy, the entire world will be ran by robotics. And that's exactly what we're starting to see now. Companies are laying off thousands of employees and replacing those employees with said robotics. They are also cutting benefits and cutting funding for food banks. Now, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your opinion on the matter, there were real people, elderly and children and single mothers, who were dependent on those benefits. Now, again, regardless of your opinion on the matter, what this situation does is it creates organized chaos. It puts people in a state of need. It puts people in a state of chaotic mindset. It puts people in a riot mindset. It puts people in looting mindsets. And what that ultimately does is creates a need for a total surveillance system. Creates a need for the military to step in and for this to be implemented. It creates a need for a total surveillance system ran by this company. Everything that we are watching is biblical. Everything that we are watching is intentional, but the sad reality is the majority of what we read, the majority of what we see on the news is a distraction. It is not the reality of what is happening. The reality of what is happening is straight biblical, it is straight spiritual, it is straight demonic, and it is happening behind the curtain. The ultimate end game goal with all of this is this. And it is something that you will insert into your body that will allow you to participate in society. So without this, you will be completely cut off from society. That means no grocery store. That means you will not be able to own a vehicle. You will not be able to rent a vehicle. You will not be able to rent an apartment, a home. You will not be able to own a home. You will not be able to purchase clothing. You will be completely cut off from society. No water, no food, nothing. You will also be hunted down and unalived. And that is the reality of what is coming. That is not to fearmonger, that is to educate. Because that is the biblical truth. That is what is happening. And we are watching the beginning stages. We are watching the organized chaos be implemented. We are watching all of this strategically be done to create a world that will ultimately end in that. Now, if you get this mark in order to buy food for your family, in order to stay alive, it will alter your DNA in such a way that you are no longer fully human. And that is the goal. Because Satan thinks he is God. He literally thinks he is God. So he's going to do everything that God has done. God created mankind in his own image. So Satan will create man. He will alter man in his own image. And when you get that mark, you are no longer redeemable by the blood of Jesus Christ. You will no longer, your eternity is set in stone. You will go to hell. I don't say that to sound harsh. That is the reality. That is the reality of the situation. Heaven and hell are very real. And if you end up in hell, it is 100% by your choice. That is what the living word of God tells us. The scripture tells us that if you receive that mark, you will burn in hell for eternity. Satan wants to rule this world as God with his own creation, with his own version of mankind. Because in his level of pride and arrogance, he still thinks that he can rewrite the ending. He knows what is written in the living word of God. He knows scripture better than any of us. But he thinks that he can change the ending. If you do not know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, know that he is real. He walked this earth and he died for you.
Everything you know about birth is a lie. Everything they tell us, lies. What do they say? Push. Ugh, push, you gotta push. What? What kind of patriarchal advice is it to push? No, you want to allow. You want to breathe your baby out. You want to relax. Birth is the ultimate relaxation because the more relaxed you are, the more you will open up. I mean, everyone knows that when something is going in or out of a hole, that hole has to be relaxed. And the pushing, not only does that mess with your pelvic floor, but you could also push out a caca, or you could tear because you're pushing. You could tear your punane or your butthole because of the forcing. That's patriarchy, forcing, right? Rather than allowing. And then we have the clitoris. And we all know that clitoris is good for a little afternoon delight, but it also has a function during birth because it's not just like a little nose poking out. No, it wraps around the entire vag in order to support the vag during birth. It's like a Pinocchio nose when he's lying. And then it's there to give you an orgasmic birth, a pleasurable birth. That's what the patriarchy doesn't want you to know. All right, so let all your pregnant friends know that they could okay. Everything you know about birth is a lie. Everything they tell us.
So I was looking for somewhere to sit while my dog just played in the yard. And I was like, oh, that tree splits perfectly right there. And I was like, huh. I've never seen like a trunk split perfectly like that ever. And I start looking around. And I'm like, okay, here's another one that's a little bit weird. Like these are just so like interesting. I've never seen a tree do that. Like this one all looks like one clump. And then I start realizing that's because this is literally the top of a tree. This is the top of the tree. There is more to the trunk is not right there. That is not how a tree grows. That is how a tree separates. Look at this. That's what you think you're looking at. That's not what that is. That is two split. That is the top of a tree. It ends right here. This is the end of it. I'm telling you. This is one tree that goes all the way down. And then look. That's exactly what they look like. Those little trees. Oh, you see that fall? That's confirmation. That's what a trunk's supposed to look like. Look at this tree. Here. Split funny. Look at this one. That's like literally the top of a tree. It ends right here. What do you mean? That's like asparagus. That's literal asparagus. And look how it branches. That's not how trees grow. Okay, wait. And look at this one. This is what drew me. And I was like, I'll sit right here. And I was like, trees don't do that. And I said, how did this big old damn tree grow like this? And then I was looking. When I used to draw pictures of trees, I used to put the little squirrel nut hole thingy in the middle of the tree. And then I'm looking at this mother. Look at, he's peeing on it because he knows. This is one tree. Look at that. That's not I see a root right here, but this is the branch of another tree. This is a branch. Branches do this. Branches do that. This is what they want us to think we're looking at. Those don't even have roots for real. That's a tree.
Sitting here like
that's a huge ass tree, and it probably has roots deeper than what we think too. But these are not that. Okay, now look at what I found the first.
I called off my wedding in the middle of our ceremony because I found out that my fiance had actually been cheating on me on his bachelor trip. I woke up that day thinking my biggest obstacle was going to be whether or not my hair held curl, but that wasn't it because something in my gut told me that I needed to check my messages. I get on my phone and I have a DM from an account that I don't follow. It was a message from this beautiful woman. It started off by saying, "Hey girly," which we knew where that was going. She claimed that she was sorry and that she didn't know that he was getting married. She then proceeded to send me photo evidence of his whole entire bachelor trip, looking like they were having a honeymoon themselves, a romantic getaway, along with the other men on his trip who were not bachelors. There were other women involved. And then she proceeded to show me the text messages. She screenshotted between them, which definitely told me that she did know that not only he had a woman, but he was on his last hurrah and I would never find out. So she knew something, and obviously still decided to go. He was also wearing a pin that said bachelor because the thing is I don't believe in bachelor trips. I think it's stupid. I didn't have a bachelorette party. I think it's dumb. I think that, this is like a uniting, so why do you need to go have a last hurrah? He had a last hurrah, all right. He gaslit me into thinking that I was being crazy. It was just something he had always wanted since he was a kid, that nothing was going to happen. So I got him a little pin to try to be encouraging because I wanted to go into our marriage, on the same page. So, marriage is give and take. Well, he had his last hurrah and I did have something to worry about. And it's not lost on me that if he was willing to cheat on me on his bachelor trip, he was cheating every opportunity he got. Also, side note, his friends were serial cheaters. So, I didn't just get lucky and find the one who wasn't.
I see this message and I think to myself, what am I going to do? Because it is about 2 hours before I'm actually supposed to walk down the aisle and get hitched. So I show my maid of honor, who's my best friend, and she's like, what are we doing? Where are we running to? What do you want to do? And I'm like, no, get my dress. Get my dress. Because at this point, I've been lied to by him. He's still willing to marry me after he's done this, and God only knows what else. His bachelor friends were involved, and there are other women in these photos, touching each other in ways like the other married men that I wouldn't want someone touching my man. Okay, so we're going to expose them all. So basically that's what we do in those 2 hours. We figure out a way to expose him in front of the whole wedding party. Comes time for me to walk down the aisle, I'm walking down, he's looking like he just stepped out of GQ magazine. He's crying. You would have thought he was in love with me. You would have thought that this was like everything he'd ever wanted. And if I hadn't got that message, I probably would have too, because I never thought this man would have cheated on me. Like, he deserves an Oscar. I get down to the end of the aisle. His vows were beautiful. If they were believable, who knows who wrote them, because he obviously didn't feel that way. It comes to my turn and I tell him, I really, really want to be able to express to you how I feel, but I don't have the words to do it, so let me just show you. Then a projector rolls down in the venue, and instead of showing photos of us together, it starts showing those screenshots of the text messages and the photos of him with another woman on his bachelor trip, along with the photos of the rest of his bachelor party with said women. Yeah. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know you. I don't know who this man is. I don't know who this man is standing in front of me. But honestly, if you think that I was going to still marry you after finding out this information, you don't know me. This is disgusting. I never want to see you again. I want you to get out. I then turn to our wedding party and I'm like, the bar's paid for, the food's paid for. We're going to stay and celebrate. We're going to celebrate the fact that I just dodged a bullet. His family sobbing. My family doesn't know where to high five me, pick up their mouths from the floor. Like, I grab my dress, pick it up. Me and my girls, we dart off. The night ended up being like an interesting night for sure. I think I just suppressed all my emotions, pushed everything down. I didn't really process everything accurately. I was really embarrassed, to be honest. And that's why that night I decided, to go back to my hotel alone, even though my girls were like, no, you shouldn't be alone. I was like, I want to be alone. I'm a very recluse person. I thought, I just want to get away from here. So I still had the honeymoon tickets. We were going to Europe. And I ended up grabbing my honeymoon bag and the tickets, and I flew to our honeymoon destination. It was going to be awkward going into this hotel room, where I was supposed to be with him. But at the same time, it just felt better to get away than to have to face everyone's questions. And I just knew after that party, like, people were going to be talking, and I couldn't blame them because that was some serious tea. But the interesting thing is while I was there for 2 weeks. I decided, it's time for me to get a little bit out of character. And I guess it was just because of everything I'd went through. I just felt stupid for being lied to. I don't know. I decided, I'm going to try to have a little fun myself here. And I ended up getting into my honeymoon bag, put on some fun attire, popped a couple spicy cubes, and I went out on the town looking for a man. I ended up going out on the town and meeting this American man, and I've been with him ever since. That is how I met my now husband. And honestly, if I hadn't have caught off that wedding, I wouldn't have been there, and I probably wouldn't have had the courage to do any of that. So, I technically met my husband on my honeymoon. I called off my wedding in the middle of our ceremony because I found out.
Also, divulge quite a bit when it comes to the.
What I'm about to show you will completely blow your mind. Hello, ChatGPT.
Now, if you'll notice, they all have the exact same faces 30 some odd years later, the same exact name, and they are the same age.
Now let's focus on Dick Scobie for a second, whose full name at the time of the Challenger mission is actually Francis Richard Scobie. If you don't know, Dick is short for Richard, but we'll get to that. Francis Richard Scobie would be around 75 years old if he were alive today. Now this man, Richard, or Dick Scobie, is alive today, and also is currently the age that Francis Scobie would be. Now if you were to show someone these two photos side by side, they would unquestionably believe that it is the same person, right? I mean, just look at the brow, look at the eyes, look at the nose, look at the little gap in the teeth even. Now, Dick Scobie today currently runs an advertising company called Cows and Trees, and this is their logo. Kind of an interesting choice, wouldn't you agree? As of course many people are making this comparison.
My God,
1 minute 15. There's been an explosion. Velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Now, entertaining the possibility that this is some kind of conspiracy, I'm sure back then they didn't really think that the internet would be around today where people could do this kind of research. So of course they're trying to silence this, as when you try and Google it, you don't get many results. And if you speak out, you get silenced.
I'm gonna have to. Now, if you'll notice, they all have
Dark origins of children's shows you never knew. The last one will blow your mind. Number 1. Sesame Street was originally created as a psychological experiment to see if television could be used to educate underprivileged children who couldn't afford preschool. The show's format was deliberately designed using advertising techniques to sell learning to kids the same way commercials sold products, essentially turning education into a form of mental conditioning that many child psychologists warned could be manipulative. Number 2, the Teletubbies were inspired by a disturbing concept. The creator wanted to show what the world would look like if nuclear war wiped out civilization and only innocent, childlike beings remained. The barren landscape, the mysterious voice trumpets emerging from the ground, and the babies' faces appearing in the sun were meant to represent a post-apocalyptic world where simple creatures live among the technological remnants of destroyed humanity. Before I say the last one, make sure you hit that follow button to support the channel. Number 3, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood had a hidden dark purpose that even parents didn't realize. Fred Rogers was actually a trained child psychologist who designed every episode to identify and help children suffering from abuse, neglect, or trauma at home. His gentle questions, the way he spoke directly to the camera, and his emphasis on feelings were therapeutic techniques meant to reach kids whose parents might be hurting them, and PBS received thousands of letters from children revealing abuse after watching his show, making it one of the largest unintentional child welfare operations in television history. Dark origins.
What I'm about to say might be hard for some people to believe, but this is the true story and my testimony of my angelic encounter that I experienced last spring that delivered me and healed me from brain cancer. So quick backtrack, in winter of last year, October 2024, I found out I had a brain tumor.
I think the world ended in 2012.
Okay? I've heard this one before.
Now, a couple things happened. For one, you guys know about CERN, right?
No.
Okay, CERN, the Hydrogen Collider. And what that is they discovered the God particle through that.
Blah, blah, blah.
And they've been doing tests since this thing is fired up that have to do with what makes up the universe, the secrets of the universe, right? So since this thing has fired up in 2012, they said in theory it could have collapsed time itself, or Earth, or ended the Earth from what we know it, right? Because they're smashing atoms together and doing all these different things. So that fired up in 2012. What movie was about a world-ending event?
2012?
2012. Okay. So after all that, I think after 2012, other timelines have been colliding with each other, right? So the world we knew ended. And now what we're seeing is layers of different realities happening. So to that point, that lady may be from somewhere, another timeline that's not from ours, that bled into ours and then disappeared. Now there's another story about something similar happening back in the 50s. This guy came into the airport and they were like, this place doesn't exist. Same thing. I believe it might have been the same place. It sounded very eerily similar to that. He had a passport. He said, hey, I'm from here. It's in between here and here, somewhere in Europe.
Everything.
Never existed. And then they locked him in a room, interrogated him for hours.
Then he vanished.
And then they leave and they come back. They locked him up. He's still in the room. He's gone.
It's the same thing that happened to the lady. It's the same thing that happened to the lady.
It's the same thing.
They don't know where she is?
They said she disappeared.
Disappeared in the room. They locked the room.
And then allegedly they found her somewhere else on the street, but it was just it wasn't her anymore.
So I think that's what we're seeing. Because again, we could come up with theories and all this other stuff, but I try to connect the dots in, what reality and documented evidence and what things are actually happening. Because if you look into CERN, that is happening. That is real.
Unbelievable. Is everything all right? You hungry?
Comes the food, buddies. I hope you like it.
Thank God. My guess was true. They are hungry. They need food.
Hey! Hey! No! Get out from here. Don't go near them.
No way. She brought a salmon for me. The babies also come with her again. Aww. They stay and sleep at my doorsteps.
Y'all are not taking this shit as serious as y'all supposed to be. The sun didn't just flare. The sun exploded in our direction. Something is happening above us right now. And if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss the moment the world quietly shifts into a different chapter. Over the past few days, the sun unleashed 3 major X flares, including the X5.1 on November 11th. And the last flare, it wasn't normal. That last flare created a full halo coronal mass injection, meaning that shit aimed at us. Scientists are already tracking this shit as a potential G3, G4 geomagnetic storm. And now here's the part that nobody wants to talk about. While all this shit is happening, 3i Atlas, the interstellar object that nobody can explain, is still out there, glowing green and acting like it's observing us. Every time the sun flares, 3i Atlas reacts. Spectral spikes, tail brightening, almost like this shit is taking notes. Now you tell me that's normal. I'll wait. I need you to remember that they were saying that 3i Atlas was behind the sun. I need you to remember what they were saying about 3i Atlas. 12 miles long, moving at 145,000 miles an hour. And then it goes missing behind the sun. And after it goes missing behind the sun and moves, look at what happens to the sun. Just think about this, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Power grids can overload, transformers can blow, satellites can glitch, GPS, communication, airline navigation, all vulnerable. But scientists are saying this is completely normal. Hopefully it is normal. Hopefully it's nothing. But this shit is serious.
As of 2 p.m. today, I've been put on non-disciplinary admin leave. I was not given a reason for being put on leave, but I strongly suspect it is because I have been speaking up in my personal capacity about the harms that I've been witnessing inside the National Institutes of Health. Putting me on admin leave was designed to scare and silence me. It was designed to scare and silence my colleagues, and it was designed to scare and silence everyone in the public. But I am not scared, and I will not be silenced. I will not stop speaking up about the harms that I have seen inside the National Institutes of Health, and I will keep on sharing here the harms that my many friends
COVID
inside
already
the agency
proved that. You can stand on your foundation all day, every day, talking with people that share the same foundation as you. But when the crunch time shows,
If anything,
yeah, they getting that shot.
move on their part to put me on admin leave just reaffirms my commitment to this fight, and I hope you will join me in it.
All right, guys, this is part 2. We are cracking the financial code for the children.
So this is the woman, my great-grandmother, who taught me to disrespect racism. And let me get in a real clear about this. This woman married a black man and brought him to a sundown town and convinced all of them that he wasn't black, he was Italian. She may or may not have murdered him many years and 6 children later. She got a black eye, and a week later, he was no longer with us. Apparently, the official story was he got drunk and tried to swim in the river. But he must have dove in like head first without using his arms or something, because he had a big old crack in his head. We have reason to believe, number one, this woman definitely stole a baby. She 100% stole a baby. My mom was stolen, 100%. Now, whether or not we actually have any relation to my great-grandmother via blood is very debatable. Where was I before this? Oh yeah, we have reason to believe that her government name was not the name she gave the government. We have reason to believe we don't know this woman's name. I know she was twerking back during the original Roaring Twenties, and I know that she referred to cadaver dogs, the dogs they use to, like, find a dead body that's been buried a long time ago. She referred to them as rats, and she hated them. She liked every other dog but cadaver dogs. She passed away about 15 years ago. We were, kind of sad. We have no idea where she is. We don't even know for sure that she's gone. It's a very real chance she just went and reinvented herself in Santa Fe or something, because we made, as a family, the unfortunate, in hindsight, choice of letting her daughter, who fried her brain in the 70s, absolutely cooked herself off, handling the funeral arrangements. So there's a very real possibility that she ended up wherever. It was a tragic moment. None of us really thought at the time to question her when she said she would handle the arrangements. So my mom, who is the baby that my great-grandmother stole, has several options for a father, and quite frankly, at this point, a bit of a question mark behind grandmother. Because once again, we're not really sure where she got my mom 100%. Because the woman who's, registered on my mom's birth certificate had severe mental disabilities. And there's some very legitimate questions about where this baby that is my mom came from. And growing up in that kind of environment, my own father is a question mark of a bit of, I had a really great weekend. And me, as a person, I am essentially a swag bag from a killer, 5-day party that she went to. All right? You don't have a family tree, child. You have family algebra. You have a family murder documentary series. All right? Okay? That's the best. I did a DNA thing to try and find out, and we got more questions. All right? We got relatives in places we shouldn't have relatives. We don't know. So this is the woman, my great-grandmother, who tells...
Everyone thinks they know the Bible, but they don't have any understanding.
The most disgusting habit of the Middle Ages is here. In 1533, at the coronation of Anne Boleyn as Queen of England, she smiled gracefully, raised her glass, and twirled her gown lightly. But no one knew. Under her dress were two maids. One held a bowl to catch her excrement, the other held a handkerchief to wipe her. Yes, right in the grand coronation ceremony. And this was just the beginning. At that time, the nobles were even more absurd. They would import human feces from abroad to brush their teeth. The cutlery they used was often rusty, and some kings, even when receiving their advisors, would undergo an enema in public. Look at Versailles, magnificent on the outside, but in reality, just a gigantic open-air cesspit. 36,000 people lived in the palace, yet there were only 29 toilets. As a result, filth overflowed into every room. The Queen, worried about hygiene, ordered the toilets closed, but unexpectedly, that made things worse. Noble ladies wearing heavy hoop skirts with no underwear relieved themselves in the dark corners of the palace, then threw the waste directly into the river. Centuries later, that river dried up and became one of London's busiest streets, Fleet Street. And the French? They built high walls around their cities, yet they threw their waste over the top. But in times of war, those mountains of filth actually became a ladder for the enemy to climb over the walls. The most disgusting habit of the Middle Ages is here.
It's horrible.
I went on a first date this week.
Okay, so do y'all know that we are currently in the midst of a severe geomagnetic storm? Yeah, just posting this in case the power grid actually does go down, because I just watched a video from one of the staff at the NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and Buddy was talking about the fact that right now they're having 2 CMEs, which they call coronal mass ejections, that came from the sun and affected the earth and packed the punch way stronger than they expected, to the point where at a severe G4 level. Now they're saying that CMEs are like solar flares that emit all types of materials that can affect our magnetic field. Stay with me. And what they're saying is this could have adverse effects on us. But the kicker is that on November 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they're stating that there's going to be a third one that can not only affect our GPS system, but could potentially affect our electric grid. Now, all throughout Africa and Europe right now, they're experiencing radio blackouts. And in North America, all over, people are talking about the fact that they can see the northern lights from Alaska to Tennessee to Ohio to Colorado to Texas, Alabama. Anywhere you look, people are posting videos about the northern lights, which are completely abnormal. Mind you, the irony in this, that we are currently amidst a full-on shutdown to where when you go on the NOAA site, you can't access much information. And NASA is not releasing any pictures of this whole three-eye atlas that's supposed to be a comet, even though this Harvard scientist is stating that it could be some type of alien tech. However, you have Japan Airspace allegedly releasing some type of picture stating that this is what they see when they look at three-eye atlas. But all of this is happening at the same time. It's just a culmination of chaos with limited information, because I'm wondering, how is this not all being plastered? Even if it's potential, even if it's not completely certain, why is it that people aren't being made aware of what's going on? Even though, you know, we have all of this other chaos happening, I feel like preparation-wise, people should at least know what to expect. God forbid you're traveling and right now the GPS system just completely shut down, or worse, the whole power grid. But do y'all think this is real, or is this just a lot more fear-mongering? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you're keeping up with this. I can't confirm or deny anything, but the timing is just absolutely uncanny to me. Whatever else I do find out, though, I will be back, but don't want to misinform you, so always encourage y'all to do your research, because I'm always just going based off the information that I can access online. But always make sure to come back to you, so like, follow, and stay for some more. Okay, so do y'all know that we're...
All right, good people. It's been long enough. I'm out of here.